You are tuning into Naphtali's new school of thoughts, right here on YouTube. Naphtali's new school of thought. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for news, politics. You are tuning into Naphtali's new school of thoughts, right here on YouTube. Naphtali's new school of thought. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for news, politics, all truth and no lies.
Welcome to Naphtali's new school of thought, where the wisdom is heavy and the knowledge is taught. We're digging through the Bible, science and history, stripping back the veil and solving every mystery. Talking all the truth, so you can step inside the room. We're clearing out the shadows and the intellectual gloom. There's no gatekeeping here, no locks on the door, just a hunger for the facts and a thirst for something more. We don't deal in fiction, no lies or lullabies, no fairy tales to soothe you or the dust across your eyes. If you're looking for a dream state, move along the line, cause we're operating on a different design. If you wanna stay asleep, this is not the place for you. The comfort of the dark is a ghost you're clinging to, but the sun is rising high, breaking through the night. And once you see the truth, you cannot see the light. Welcome to Naphtali's new school of thought, where the wisdom is heavy and the knowledge is taught. We're digging through the Bible, science and history, stripping back the veil and solving every mystery. Welcome to Naphtali's new school of thought, where the wisdom is heavy and the knowledge is taught. We're digging through the Bible, science and history, stripping back the veil and solving every mystery. So wide awake movement, no more nodding off, no more hush hush. From the scrolls to the stars, it's all connected. Yeah, we're all woke. Class is in session.
Hey, most high blessed to you all out there. All, can you hear me? I'm having a little technical difficulties with my internet, so I hope you guys can everything go smooth. I don't want to have to restart, but if I have to, I will, and then I'll have to restart the live because it was really glitching, but hopefully everything worked its way out. Let's see who we got in the building. Okay. At on 103, thanks for tuning in. Most high bless. And we see Midwest Boxing 4415. Always enjoy the lives. We'll need to show appreciation letter with a Cash App donation. Hey, you know your sister needs that. Thank you so much. Truly appreciate it. All praises to the Most High to you. At Corey is a boss. And it says, Naphtali, you're even more beautiful since I saw you on Killer Priest Live. How is that even? Go. Oh my God. Well, thank you. I truly appreciate that. Of course I do. Thank you. Thank you. Well, all right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today. I had such a busy day yesterday, and you know how things just work out. My mother-in-law is doing better, and so everything's going good. I have a really great presentation for you guys tonight. Tonight we will be going on IUIC, and also we will be going on. Hey, William the Slayer, most high bless to you. Thanks for tuning in. You said it's about to end. No, it just began. Just began. No, we started. No, we just started. We just getting started. No end. No end in sight. We got a long way to go. Get your pens and your pads together because take some notes. One thing I want to make sure to let everyone know. Oh, thank you so much at Corey is a Boss for the donation, for the super chat. Truly appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Yes. Everything's good. We just getting started. We started just on time. Everything looks good. I don't see myself glitching. It looks like you guys can hear me. So everything's good. Okay. Again, thank you so much for the super chat. Truly appreciate it. So guys, what are we talking about tonight? So tonight we're getting ready to have we always have fun, but tonight's really going to be fun because tonight we're going in on who? We're going in on IUIC. why am I going in on IUIC tonight? Bishop Nathaniel. Bishop Nathaniel. Because he's the leader specifically. And this has to stop. Rejecting knowledge. That's the terminology, is rejecting knowledge. A lot of these people reject knowledge. They reject the information purposefully because it doesn't go with their doctrine. That's why I labeled my debate squad, if you guys ever came over to my debate channel, it's called Doctrine Over Truth, because people are so consumed in their most high blessed to you, Elder Quinal. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you so much for tuning in on the job, on the plantation. All right. People are so consumed in their doctrine that they forget about the Bible. And the one thing that they pride themselves is being about the truth, the home of the truth. They try to, go out to these different churches. They're going out to these different countries, continents, all types of places, preaching this word. And with great power comes great responsibility. And what do I mean by that? You said go in on Bishop. Oh, I will be going in on Bishop Nathaniel because I'm not very happy with Bishop Nathaniel right now. And I'm going to show you guys why. You said, unfortunately, I had a difficult week. My beloved cat is sick. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear about your cat. Oh, okay. I understand. My cat is actually harassing me all the time for food. But like I was saying, I'm all about, like I said, shout out to my truth seekers. I'm really about the truth. I'm really about the Bible. And irregardless of what it says, at the end of the day, the truth is what they say makes you free. That's what they coined themselves on. And they're not being truthful. They're not being honest. And I'm going to show you that. So let me stop blabbing my mouth and let's just get started on the presentation. Let's get going. All right. Sorry, 1 second. Also, guys, I will be also talking about who are the Sinites. Yes, the Sinites. We will be talking about who are the biblical Sinites. That's the main purpose of this video. But what I'm going to do is we're going to talk about the Chinese who are linked biblically, historically, and archaeologically to the Sinites. And we're also going to showcase, I want you guys to tell me in the chat after I present my presentation. I'm going to showcase IUIC's presentation, who they say the Chinese are, and then I'm going to showcase who biblically, historically, and archaeologically who the Chinese are. And you guys tell me below in the chat also, as well as leave a comment on who you agree with, whose presentation was better. Okay, so let's keep going. Because as I'm also, just like I consider myself to be a Mora, which is a teacher, I'm also a student. So I'm humbled enough to listen and to take notes and information from everybody, unlike other people, okay, who reject knowledge. But let's keep going. All right. One second, guys. I didn't share my screen. That you got to see the screen, right? Come on. Get with the program. There we go. Now let's do it again. Let's have some fun. What? All right, guys, 1 second. Let me see why the clip, because we need all of these to play. 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. I have it all set up and ready to go. I can hear it on my end just fine. That's strange and odd. 1 second. Let me re-download this video again. Something must be off with it. Well, let me reshare it then. Let me reshare. 1 second. Add. And let's go back. Let's remove it. We're going to add the screen. And all right, let's try this again. Oh my goodness. Okay. Interesting. All right, guys. I'm sorry, guys. Again, this clip is not playing any sound. I hear it just fine. I don't know why. I'm sorry, guys. Again, this clip is not playing any sound. I hear it just fine. I don't know why. Let me try another way, guys. Just bear with me. You know how you got to have technical difficulties. Like I said, I can hear it just fine. It's weird, but let me try something else. Let me see if this. I hope these other clips play, because I don't want to have to restart this live, because it seemed like maybe I have to restart and I don't want to. Seem like the videos that I was playing, my other videos are playing just fine, but now it seems like this video doesn't have sound. But I'm uploading the video to StreamYard to see if it'll work on StreamYard instead of just going straight through Canva. Okay, let's try this way. Let's see.
666. Oh my god, I'm so scared. 666 is commonly known as devil number in Western culture. Am I right? But what does it mean in China? Let me tell you. It just has the opposite meaning. It is a cyber word commonly used to trace those who are quite excellent, outstanding in playing games. So in China, it is a compliment word. Did you get it? 666. Oh my god, I'm so scared.
All right, guys. So that was just a quick little fun video right there to showcase to you how things are opposite in China, how opposite things are. All right, so let's get into the presentation. Again, guys, please like, share, and subscribe. We're getting ready to be talking about the Sinites. Did you know that the Sinites are China, the Chinese link to the Canaanite are the Sinites historically, yes, and biblically. And we will be addressing Bishop Nathaniel in this clip as well as IUIC. So please like, share, and subscribe. Okay. All right. So let's get started. There is a hidden history that has been obfuscated from us, guys. So I want my truth seekers out there. I want all of you guys to understand a lot of the information that we do know is incorrect, because a lot of them are hiding it. A lot of them have organized together to keep this information hidden. But guess what? As the Bible says, the knowledge will be increased in the last days. And as we see, knowledge has been increasing. So I'd like to give a big warm welcome to my truth seekers, my independent thinkers, and my independent researchers. Shout out to you guys. I do this for you all because you guys really want the truth. You guys do not follow the lead. You are the lead. You take the time to investigate the information. You don't shut it down. You don't reject the knowledge. You consume the information, we eat the meat, and we spit out the bones, but we're on the track of finding out the truth, correct? Now, let's take a look at IUIC's Table of Nations. So this isn't the whole Table of Nations. I cut off Japheth because right now we're going to be looking at the sons of Shem, and we're going to also take a look at the sons of Ham. This is very important. All right, so they have, look at their Table of Nations. You can find this on their website. So right here, Moab, they have the so-called Chinese. They provide Genesis 19, 29 through 38. And then they have the Canaanites, as the so-called South Africans. And we'll take a look at them in a second. But right now, we're going to take a look at Moab and see what they have for Moab. Let's take a look. No sound? Wow. Okay. All right, guys. It looks like I said, I got a whole presentation together, but my videos are just not working. I don't know why not. I've done everything. So 1 second, I got to get this video for you guys so we can hear them teaching. 1 second. I haven't had this problem. Good thing is I already got them on my computer. I just have to find which one is the right one. 1 second. Okay, 1 second. Let me stop sharing my screen for one. Okay, let's do this again. Okay, let me see. This was... All right, guys. So right now what we're doing is we're going to look at the video and see them teaching who is Moab, correct? And they're going to give us their lesson on who Moab is, how they determine to find who Moab, and the breakdown. So this is going to slow us down because I have a lot of videos that I had prepared, but for some reason the sound isn't working. You know, technology, you can't control it. Oh, yes. Yeah, so in the meantime, while I'm downloading this video, guys, so I'm going to tell you guys, Most High bless to you. All is fine. Hey, Hazel, how are you doing? Most High bless to you. All is fine. Thank you, guys. Just a process. Just waiting on this video to upload. I hope this is even the right one. Let me see if I can start the process of uploading this other one too. Let's see. It's just technology. But yeah, so like I said, they believe that Moab, as you guys know, and not just IUIC. IUIC isn't the only one, but I believe they separate themselves from the One West camps. And okay, here we go. Here's the video. Let's watch.
Okay, come on.
Of Moab.
Of who?
Of Moab.
Of Moab. That is the Chinese. Okay, that is the Chinese. Okay, that is the Hung Fu Shao people. Okay, that's what it's talking about. The Chinese. Get me the origin of Moab with Lot.
Genesis 19.
Yes.
The book of Genesis, chapter 19 and verse 30.
Mm-hmm.
Read out. And Lot went up to Zoar and dwelt in the mountain, and his 2 daughters with him.
So this was after the Most High destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah with fire and brimstone. Come on.
So he feared to dwell in Zoar,
Mm-hmm.
and he dwelt in a cave, he and his 2 daughters.
So he had 2 daughters. Lot had 2 daughters. Okay, and it said that he dwelt in a cave. Come on.
And the firstborn said unto the younger, Our father is old. There is no man in the earth to come into us.
So the firstborn said to the other, our father is old, and there's no man in the earth, which is a lie, because God said he would destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. God did not say he would destroy the whole earth like what he told Noah. He didn't tell that. He didn't say that. He said just Sodom and Gomorrah. So these two daughters was driven by lust. They knew that there was other men in the earth, but they wanted the rod of their father, okay, which is complete wickedness. Incest is sin according to the Bible when you read the book of Leviticus, the 18th chapter on down. Okay, come on.
And there is not a man in the earth to come into us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on.
Verse 33. And they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father.
He was so drunk, pissy drunk, that he laid down with his daughter and did not realize that he was laying down with his daughter. Okay, they probably overpowered him, if you know what I mean, and did what they had to do so he could conceive seed in them. Come on.
And he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Verse 34. And it came to pass in the morning that the firstborn said unto the younger, Behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also.
So they'd even wait. They'd even wait. The very next day, she said, hey, I had him last night. Now it's your turn. That's some filthy stuff, man.
It is.
Good Lord. Come on.
And go thy in and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. Verse 35.
Yeah, keep reading.
And they made their father drink wine that night also. And the younger arose and lay with him. And he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Thus were born the daughters of Lot thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. The firstborn bare a son, and called his name Moab. The same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. The younger, she also bare a son, and called his name Ben-Ami. The same is the father of the children of Ammon until this day.
Until this very day. So here we have the Chinese and the Japanese. But today we're going to talk about Moab.
The Chinaman.
So what happens when a daughter sleeps with her dad? What happened when a daughter sleeps with her dad? How does the child come out? Eyes are very slanted, okay? And the cheekbones will, some of the time, will be high.
Yep.
Eyes slanted, face droopy.
Flat.
Also known as Down syndrome.
Yes.
Also known as Mongoloidism. Mongoloidism. Can I get that, please? All you're missing is that tintish, that little yellow tint that they have. Okay? And looks just like an Asian. Move down. Besides the dome piece. Okay? Look at that young child to the left. Okay? All right, now go to the actual definition about Moab being pushed far east.
Oh, that's Ezekiel.
Let's get that. So we showed you through resources that Mongoloidism is Mongolism is Down syndrome. Some of the characteristics are droopy eyes, the long slanted eyes, and the droopy face and so forth. Okay.
All right, guys. Did you all hear that? I mean, Mongoloidism. That's their explanation. Mongoloidism. Now, they're saying that the Chinese are Moab because they committed what we would consider to be called incest, correct? Let me make sure I share my screen to get back to my presentation because I had to play the video separately. So let's go back. Let me make sure you can see my screen. All right, everything looks good. Cool. Okay, so we just played the video, and according to IUIC, that was their classroom, that was one of their captains or their leaders. they're teaching that Moab is the Chinese because of incest. They're saying that Mongoloidism is the reason why they look the way they look. Well, guess what? That is racist, old, outdated, debunked, limited scholarship. I'm going to say it again. That is racist, old, outdated, debunked, limited scholarship. They should be ashamed for teaching that. That is not true. Incest does not cause Down syndrome. I'll repeat, incest does not cause Down syndrome. And to label that on a whole group of people, and people are okay with that, that's not fair to people who actually have Down syndrome, and that's not okay to the Chinese people. Okay, now the truth is, how did Down syndrome get its name? They're telling the truth that at one point in time, it says some disability related names have dropped out of usage because they are now considered to be offensive due to their origins. Down syndrome, trisomy 21, is one example. This is a genetic condition caused by an extra chromosome. Incest does not cause an extra chromosome. That's what causes Down syndrome. So this debunks their whole notion. I mean, and it's so simple what people require. That's my thing right now, is what people require. Now, it says this is a genetic condition caused by an extra chromosome, and in its most common chromosomal anomaly in humans. The condition was originally called Mongolialism. It was originally called that. Yes, it was. This term dates back to the 1860s when the British doctor John Langdon Down first described the disorder. In 1866, Down published an academic paper, Observations on an Ethnic Classification of Idiots. You see how he said that? Of idiots. So right there, he's letting you know that he's being racist. And then he says, in which he claimed that it was possible to categorize different types of conditions by ethnic classifications. He thought that people with this disorder shared facial features with people of Mongolian ethnicity. So he named it Mongolialism. Down further believed that this was a condition was a reversion to an inferior race. The term soon became offensive because it was racially charged, implying that Mongolian people were inferior. It says the original name was also offensive because it mischaracterized the condition. There it is. It mischaracterized the condition. But in 1959, the French geneticist Jerome Lejeune discovered its genetic cause. It's not caused by committing incest. It's caused because it is what we would consider to be a birth defect, which is an extra copy of chromosome 21 in 1961. Lejeune, also, along with other international experts and Down's grandson Norman, petitioned the medical community to find a new name because Mongolialism was a misnomer. In 1965, the World Health Organization finally withdrew the name after a request by delegation from the Mongolian People's Republic who wanted to reclaim the name of their native people. The condition was renamed Down syndrome after John Langdon Down, while trisomy 21 is also used. Down syndrome is still used in the UK when the name was changed to a more clinical and therefore accurate name. So right there, they're letting you know it's a misnomer. They're letting you know that it's racist. They're letting you know that it's not even scientifically proven. It's not true. Down syndrome has nothing to do with Mongolian people or Asian people, number one. Number two, and number three, it has absolutely nothing to do with incest. Now, I have a sister who has Down syndrome. Somebody put out there that I had a problem with people with Down syndrome. I do not. My little sister has Down syndrome, okay? And trust me, and also Down syndrome is for people who have birth defects. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a second. Now, if they really want to, considering their theory, right? They're saying that, hey, incest, this group of people have incest. So if they really want to pick out a group of people, and this is just me just trying to humor you guys and humor them. This is a group of people called the Vendoma tribe. they fit more to considering their doctrine. The Vendoma tribe is in Zimbabwe, and they have a high prevalence of extrodactyly or ostrich claw syndrome, which is a genetic condition where the middle 3 toes are missing due to inbreeding within their isolated community. This community is very known for inbreeding. Okay, so if they really want to pick out a tribe of people that are known to inbreed, this would be more of the conditions that you would see in inbreeding, not Down syndrome. Okay, this is not me saying that these people are Moab. I'm just saying, if this is how limited their scholarship is, because this has nothing to do with Moab. But like I said, we're talking about the Chinese right now. So what is Down syndrome? Just for the people in the back, for IUIC who's teaching this really, I mean, trust me, if this is what you got, you guys need to do better, because Down syndrome, again, has nothing to do with incest. Number 2, when you talk about the Chinese people, they're supposed to be the most technologically advanced people. They're supposed to be the most smartest people, high IQ, all of these things. People who have Down syndrome tend to have mental, be considered to have, limited understand. They tend to have, they need a little bit more help when it comes to work and understanding, things like that. So I don't want to put them down, but right there, we have the conditions when you're born with an extra chromosome. People would think if you were born with an extra chromosome, it'll make you much more advanced, not actually make you least. So we see when you have Down syndrome, you also get they talk about the flattened face, the almond-shaped eyes, but they're not also putting in, excuse me, let me pinch it for you. But they're not putting in the congenital heart defects, the hearing loss, the poor muscle tone, as well as, needing some form of help when it comes to just being able to live. They can't even live alone. They need help. They need care. Okay, they're not independent people. Like I said, my sister has it. Okay, so let's keep going. All right. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I'm gonna have to go back. Let me see if we can hear this one. I don't know if you guys can. Okay. It doesn't sound like you guys can hear that one. So let me go on. Oh, we went backwards. 1 second. All right. So let's go on. Let's play this next one. I got to leave out of here and go into this now. All right. So this next clip, we're getting ready to play. They're going to talk more about how they're proving who Moab is. So let's keep going, because some of you are probably like, that's not all. They got more. And they do. So let's keep listening.
And can brothers and sisters see this online? Yes? All right. It says some have even associated sin, the same sinum in the Bible, okay, with China. Okay? Some have associated sin with China. Sinum resembles Sinae, the Latinization of kin, after Kin State, which is a dynasty, founded 778 BC, and the Qin dynasty founded in 221 BC by Qin Shi Huangdi. At the time of the prophecy, there was no one Chinese nation, but many small states. The Chinese associate the origin of their civilization with the capital of Shenxi, namely Sangfu, translated father sin. Father sin. Hey, you never know. They might call it that because they came from sin. They came from incest. Okay? In Assyrian records, Sangfu appears as Sino, okay, which also means sinum. So is the Bible a real book? You better believe it. It's a real book.
That's right. That's all right. So let's get on that. Now let me move on to this. Now, this is where I really get disappointed in the IUIC, or just let me make sure I share my screen for you guys to see this. And I want you all to pay attention. Now look at my screen here. Very simple. Now, they were able They did. They brought up Sinem and they linked it to China. When you go into the blue letter, very simple, very easy, it tells you that Sinem is China. It tells you that. You don't have to go and do no deep digging, no deep research. It just tells you. However, Sinem says what? It says thorns. It equals thorns. Now keep following with me. Down here, it says it's a plural for Sinites. What does that mean? Now you may say, well, I don't know. Keep coming with me. All right. Now let's go into who the Sinites are. In the same blue letter, we're not doing anything special. What does Sinite mean? It means thorn. It also says sin, which is sign. So this is where it gets me. Everybody, this is nothing hard to come up with. The Sinites are Sinem, which then equals, if you got to the point where you saw that Sinem was China, but you linked them to Moab, how did you get to Moab? It doesn't link to Moab. It links to Sin, which is the Sinites. They both equal thorn. They both are Chinese. I don't know why they did that. You know why they did that? Because they don't want this information out. These people are being gatekeepers, and I'm putting my foot down. And you guys, I need your help to get this information out. Because why? Because of this. Look at this graph right here. It tells you who are the Canaanites, whose name comes up. I didn't make this. This is from Tim Osterom. He puts on here all the Asian people as what? Canaanites. Specifically, it's a group of people on here called the American Indians, who these people keep wanting to put as an Israelite. They keep wanting to, no matter how much evidence, no matter how much resources. And we just heard out of their mouths, you and I both heard them teach that Sinem went to who? Moab. No, it does not. They know Sinem is there. They said it. They see it. But guess what? They linked them to the wrong people purposely because they're trying to protect the Native Americans and the Hispanics because their DNA and their ancestry goes back to these people. So they need them to be Shem. And they're going with however many links and bounds they got to go through to make sure they link. But guess what? It doesn't add up. Sinem means what? Thorn. Sinite means what? Thorn. Everybody knows that. And again, Tim Osterholm, and I'm not done. You guys know I'm literally just getting started. We haven't even began my presentation. This is just me going in on the IUIC right now. Now, here is the Institute creation. I'm just showing you how much this information is so broadly available. Okay, a lot of information is not. If you check my Table of Nations video out, and if you haven't seen it, it's one group of people that's really hard to find, and that's the Indian people, the Hindu Indian people. You got to do some real good to find out that they're Cushites. But who? The Sinites, the Chinese? Oh, that information is a free for all, and that's why I'm disappointed in Bishop Nathaniel as well as his group, the IUIC, because they're purposely misleading our people. Like I said, this is the Institute of Creation Research. You can Google, this is simple. Sinite, Genesis 10:17. It tells you what? The other 9 sons of Canaan were the Canaanite tribes that inhabited the land of the Israelites. The Amorites are identified in the table of Amorru. The Sinites may be connected ethnologically within the wilderness of Sin and Mount Sinai in the south with the Assyrian god Sin and with the Sinem and the people's secular history called Sinite or Chinese. Again, you see how they linked all that together? It's right there. But let's go back to their Table of Nations. Now, we looked at who they had for Moab. They said that they were the Chinese. But look who they put as the Canaanites. Now, this is where I really get fired up. Because they have so-called South Africans. That's it. South Africans, okay? Then they provide us Genesis 10:6, 15 through 19, and 1 Chronicles 1 13 through 16. Now, I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to get up here and act like I follow these men and I know every single video that they have made. But I'm going to stand up here just like I was able to find that Moab video. At least they had a breakdown. Now, their breakdown was very pseudo, very limited, very racist, but they did at least have something to try to compare these Moabites to. They had some information. I have not yet to see their information that they had to break down how the South Africans linked to the Canaanites. Now, if you do have that, please make sure you notify me and direct me to that. Send it to my Instagram or my Facebook, and I will go take a look at it. Because right now, all I see is 3 scriptures, and I have them right here for us. So let's take a look at what they got to prove who the Canaanites are. All right, Genesis 10:6. And the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, put in Canaan. Okay. And then we got Genesis 10:15 through 19. And Canaan begot Sidon, his firstborn, Heth, and the Jebusites, and the Hivite, and the Archite, and the Sinite, and the Aphrodite, and the Zemarite, and the Hamathite. And afterwards, the family of the Canaanites were spread abroad. Make sure you realize that the Canaanites were spread abroad. They were spread abroad, so they didn't just stay in one location. I want to make sure I highlight that. And the border of the Canaanites was Sidon, as thou comest to Gerar, unto Gaza, as thou goest unto Sodom and Gomorrah, Adamah, Zobim, unto Laasha. Okay, now let's take a look at the next one. And Canaan begot Zidon. What does this have to do with South Africa? All this did was just tell us who the Canaanites are. They did not provide us any historical anything that linked them to the Canaanites. You know what they did? They just put this label on these people for absolutely no reason. How dare they? They're not advanced on the Canaanites. But my thing is, if you don't know, then you need to put a question mark. This is serious. You out here teaching this stuff. You over here and you're everywhere. You didn't put yourself up there to the point where you didn't took yourself everywhere, all around the world, teaching Japan, Africa, China. You're teaching this information and you don't have it. Hold on, I got another video. I got to get this video for you guys because it's not going to play. So we just got to bear with me. We're going to get through it, though. Let me get this video for you guys. But like I said, like I'm saying, guys, to you, I'll get this next video for you because I took my time and I really, am really serious about trying to figure out and find out why do they want to deliberately teach our people lies? Why do they deliberately want to teach you lies? Because the thing is, this is not a game. If you truly are for the Bible, if you truly believe in the Bible like you say you do, I'm downloading it. If you truly believe in the Bible like you say you do, if you truly care about the people, then you need to stop lying. But here's the next video. Let's watch them some more.
Okay. So I just wanted to point out how Chinese falls under Mongoloid. Okay. Now, when you go to the left here, my left, all right, it says Negroid, African Negro, Khoikhoi people. That was the tribe of Sarah Bartman. Okay. That's the people that spoke with the all right. And then they also have Negrito, right? Now, when you scroll up, why does Hamitic fall under, back up. Why does Hamitic fall under Caucasoid? Semitic is right because they are from Shem.
Yep.
Aryan is right. They're right about that. But why is Hamitic there? But what I want y'all to see is how come Negroid does not fall under Hamitic?
The opposite of what they tell you.
They're letting you know that Negroes are not from Ham. Negroes are not from Ham, all right? You pseudo-apologists that are probably currently online right now. Get it through your thick Negroid skulls. I'm talking about you urban apologetic pathetics. We are not from Ham. We are Shemitic, not Hamitic. That's right. All right?
All right. So you guys just saw that, right? You heard that, okay? That's right. He said, now that you guys saw it firsthand, that they had up there, that the Caucasians put up there, that they have Hamites. But he completely ignored that. He didn't care. He didn't care that they put Hamite there. All he know is that he saw Semite, and he said that means that, yeah, you are Semite. But he didn't say they were Hamite, did he? He didn't say they were Hamite, did he? No, he did not. He made sure, even though it said it on there. But then he said, well, you know who's not Hamite? The Negroes are not Hamite. Well, guess what? If the Negroes are not Hamite, then why do you have Negroes as Canaanites on your form, brother? Why do you have them on your table of nations? Let me reshare my screen because I have to play that video. Let me reshare it for you. Let's go back to my presentation. All right. This is what I'm talking about. Now, we just saw what he said. A Negro is on there. You got so-called South Africans. So-called Africans are Negroes. Last time I checked, Sub-Saharan Africans are Negroes. And the Sub-Saharan African is a South African, unless you're referring to the Afrikaans, which I know you ain't referring to them. But yes, they are. The Bantu are Negroes. So what is you doing? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you saying what you're saying? The Canaanites are not of what they would consider. They want them to be a primitive people so badly. These people are a technologically advanced group of people. They are greater, 7 nations greater and mightier than you. Okay? Get it? We got to, if you really truly believe in the scriptures, if you really truly believe in the Bible, if you really are a Bible believer, then you will stop this nonsense. So what is this? The act of purposely hiding, ignoring, and altering biblical and historical information. So let's look at Mark 8:3-6. King James Version. It says, for what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Matthew 16:26. For what is it a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? What is this talk? What am I talking about, and why am I bringing this up? Because these people are purposefully ignoring, hiding, and altering biblical and historical information just to preach what they want, to get their information out there. They're purposely, it's so much information. I haven't even began. If you think anything that I provided you is anything, that's nothing. Because like I said, we're just getting started, guys. We haven't even began my presentation. I'm just going in on their information. I haven't even began with the Chinese and the Sinites and how they all link together. You think that little thorn in the thorn, you think that's it? No, that's just what I've used their stuff against them. That's what I just did, because they went into the blue letter and they showcased that. Well, what I did was I went a step further and showcased a little bit more. All right. But my thing is what shall it profit a man if he should gain the whole world? So you get all these subscribers, you get all these followers, and guess what? But you lose your soul because you keep selling your soul for some people. You ignore and reject the knowledge. Again, why is it important to know who the Canaanites are? Let's talk about this. What is the importance? I preach on the Canaanites so much. I need to make sure you guys understand why it's important. Judges 3, King James, it says, now there are nations which the Lord left to prove Israel by them, even as many of Israel has not known all the wars of Canaan. Only that generation of the children of Israel might know, to teach them war, at least such as before knew nothing thereof. So he's letting you know that the Canaanites are here to prove Israel by them. So they're going to teach them about war. Check. Now it says, namely 5 lords of the Philistines and all the Canaanites and the Sidonians and the Hivites that dwelt in the mountains of Lebanon, from Mount Baal Hermon until the enterings in of Hamath. And they were there to prove Israel by them, to know. What are they there for? To prove Israel by them, to know whether they will hearken unto the commandments of the Most High, which he commanded their fathers by the hand of Moses. So the Canaanites are here to be a temptation to us. They are here to make the most, to see if you can pass the test. It's a test. They're here to test you and I to see if you will actually follow the Most High or will you follow them. And as we see, IUIC is failing miserably because they don't even want you to even know who the Canaanites are so that you can be prepared to be tested. You're being tested by the Canaanites and you don't even know it. You know why you don't know it? Because they don't want you to know it. These gatekeepers don't want you to know it. But the Most High is going to give the information to his people because he said he was. And it's people like myself out here who's trying to help you and get you to know who they are. Remember, there are 7 nations greater and more powerful than the Israelites. They are the Canaanites, the Hittites. That's the nations that are greater and more mightier. The gentleman in the middle said that he was a Jebusite. He came out on air and said that Mark Mudabas, he came out and said he was a Jebusite. He said it. My people are Jebusite. You know what they said? Ignore him. He's lying. Ignore him. He's lying. No, he's not. These people have been around for thousands of years. The Chinese have been around for 5,000 years continuously. Everybody's history has not been taken away from them. Only people whose history has been taken away is ours. And you know why it's taken away? Because we voluntarily got rid of it. Because as we see right now, these same leaders who are in charge are failing miserably by not giving us all the information because they don't want you to know it. It's obvious. What more do you need to see? What more do we need to hear from you to see that you're purposefully are deliberately not giving the people the truth? Are you guilty of rejecting knowledge? I'm asking you out there who's listening, are you guilty of rejecting knowledge? Because Hosea 4:6, what does it say? My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge because thou hast rejected knowledge. You reject it. I will also reject thee. What does the Most High say he's going to do? He's going to reject you. So while you out here turning your noses up, crossing your arms, ignoring, did something happen? Is everything okay? Can you guys put a 1 in the chat if everything's okay? Can you guys hear me? All right. Thank you. I just saw what happened. I wanted to make sure everything was good. Okay. So like I said, Hosea 4:6, it says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children. So I'm talking about these camp leaders out here who are out here teaching. They're teaching. They're telling everybody the truth. But guess what? I myself purposely have tried to talk to these people and present information to them, and they reject the information. When you reject the information, the Most High says, because thou hast rejected the knowledge, I will also reject thee. So there you go. Are you guilty? Because the thing is, when I provide, now you saw what they had. We just watched. If you guys didn't see at the beginning of my presentation, I showcased IUIC breaking down who they say the Sinites are. I mean, let me slow down. Who they said Moab is. They say that Moab is the Chinese. Now, how did they say the Chinese are Moab? Because of incest. They utilized pseudo-racist sciences by utilizing and saying that they had mongoloidism, which is Down syndrome, and putting down people with Down syndrome and trying to make it seem like that's because of incest, and that's not true. All right, now it's a little passionate. I had to get a little passionate. But all right, guys, like I said, that wasn't even my presentation. That was me going in on IUIC. Now, IUIC, I want you to listen. It's time to learn, okay? Let's get ready to talk about the timeless journey of the Canaanite Sinites. Now let's get into the information. Let's see how far people get with the information. Because if you truly are for the Most High, if you truly are for the truth, then you would definitely take this information and you would spread it around to help out our brothers and sisters who are failing against the Canaanites, because the Canaanites were sent here for the Israelites to prove themselves to the Most High. And a lot of them are failing. A lot of them are protecting the Canaanites. A lot of them are housing the Canaanites. A lot of them are being one with the Canaanites. And guess what? Is there anything wrong with Canaanites joining our congregation? No. The Nathaniel were a part of the Canaanites, and I'll be talking about the Nathaniel soon one day. But the thing is, the Nathaniel were a part of the Israelites. They were there, so nothing's wrong with that. The thing is that stop trying to make them who Israelite and make them who they are. Okay, like I said, there are sojourners. It's okay. There are people who can definitely join in with us. Christ died for everybody. I don't believe that Christ just died for the Israelites. Salvation is for all. Christ saves who he wants to save. I hope that he puts me on the list. How about that? I don't speak for Christ. He's going to save whoever he wants to save. So for people to get out there and to teach that he only died for such and such, that's not true. That's not biblical. And they need to stop doing that as well. But all right, so let's talk about the timeless journey of the Canaanite Sinites. This is a very fun presentation. I will be talking about the Yellow Emperor. I will be going into some esoteric things because the Bible speaks on things like that, as well as the Chinese. So let's get started. Okay. Now, the Sinites' origin, they are the descendants of Canaan. So if you've not heard of the Sinites are the descendants of Canaan. They are the Canaanites. Now, according to the Table of Nations in Genesis 10:17, the Sinites are listed as the descendants of Canaan, the son of Ham. While many Canaanite tribes remained in the Levant, the Sinites are historically known as the group that migrated the furthest east. Now, they always talk about the east. Let me go back because there's a scripture that they also quoted, Isaiah 49:12. They say, behold, these shall come from far and to the east, these from the north and from the west, and these from the land of Sinim. They mentioned that. So they say they should come from the far, and they're trying to label that with Moab, but that's not Moab because Moab only went east of what? Israel. Moab went east of Israel, and it wasn't even that far. Moses could see Moab. You know what I'm saying? He could see the land of Moab. Just like if you live in a city that's next door to another city, like I live in St. Louis, I can see East St. Louis. It's just across the water. Okay. If you live in a city and you can see another city, that's pretty much how Moab is. That's not what this scripture is talking about. This scripture is actually talking about they went east. And who journeyed the furthest to the east? Were the Sinites. Excuse me. Let me go forward. The Sinites, right here, it says Sinites are historically known as the group that migrated the furthest east. Etymologically, the name sign or seen is the linguistic form of the word sine. In Hebrew, sinim refers to the people from a distant eastern land, Isaiah 49:12. The departure following the Tower of Babel, after the Tower of Babel, the Sinite tribe likely moved along the southern mountain ranges of Asia, separating themselves from the other Hamitic groups like the Cushites and the Egyptians and the Semitic tribes. Now let's keep going. Now, this source right here in the middle, let's talk about this source right here in the middle. This is from the Encyclopedia Britannica, which is an accredited source. They tell you that Phoenicia is located where? It's located in Asia. Phoenicia is where it's another name for the Canaanites. A lot of people, again, you saw on IUICs, we saw their Table of Nations, and they had the Canaanites as who? South Africans. How can the Canaanites be South Africans when Phoenicia is in Asia? And this is historically proven. This is nothing that needs to be guessed. This is a fact. This is not based off of how you feel or where you want it to be. This is based off of sources. And it tells you Phoenicia is located in Asia. All right. Now, let's keep going. Here's a little bit more information, but I'm going to keep going so we can get into the nitty-gritty, right? So, again, Ancient origins of the Chinese according to Christianity. So we're looking at what the Christians have out here. Okay. Like I said, this is so worldwide mainstream information that I don't even have to dig that deep. And I'm just showcasing you guys how easy it is to find out. And I'm just showing you how deliberately they're lying. That's what I'm doing. IUIC is deliberately lying because the Christians, they want to talk about the pastors, but they're becoming worse than the pastors. Okay. They want to say the pastors are gatekeepers or they don't want to give the people the information. No, because Christianity on their website, what does it say? Rush Bible Church. Where do the Chinese come from? They say all people today come out of Babel, Genesis 10:32, including the Chinese people. The Chinese came from the line of Noah's son Ham. Right there. It says they came from Ham, and this is from the Rush Creek Bible Church. This is Christians. They didn't put Africans, they didn't put South Africans, they put Chinese. Who is IUIC saying it is? They're saying that they're Shem. They keep elevating these people to Shem. They're not Shem. It says, and the grandson of Canaan. Some of these descendants were called Canaanites. One group of the Canaanites were called the Sinites. Genesis 10:15 through 17, like the Sinai Peninsula. The name of the area reflects the name of Sinites or the Sinites, such as the Mount Sinai, where Moses received the 10 Commandments when leaving Egypt. See how they're linking all this together historically as well as biblically? The Bible is the foundation. Then we go through history. Then we go through science, archaeology, go through the archaeology. And also, of course, anthropologically. And if we need to use DNA. But the thing is that the Bible, we build from the Bible and then use history. Now, listen to this. The Chinese are descendants of the original Sinites, and most of them call themselves Han, from Ham. We're going to bring down the linguistics. I'm going to break down the linguistics in a second, but right now I'm just showing you how easy it is to find this information. It's not hard work. One of Noah's 3 sons, China, is in ancient time was called the land of the Sinites. The name is still used in the Bible and even called the distant land of Sinim. Isaiah 49:12. Now, these people say not all the people in China are Sinites, though. That's true. It's probably different people in China. Now, they're talking about these people called the Maya people. We'll talk about them later, but right now we're referring to the Chinese people. They said they have their ancestry through Japheth. And one thing I did speak on in my presentation is that Japheth, a lot of them were in Asia, okay? And I say those was like the South Pacific Islanders. All of them are in Asia. A lot of their DNA tracks back to Asia. So Japheth was in Asia. I don't disagree with them with that, but we'll talk about the Maya people and see how if they connect, but we'll talk about it because, like I said, the South Pacific Islanders, there was a lot of them in Asia as well. We see a pattern. Now it says Noah's son Japheth and his descendants, but right here they let us know the Chinese come from where? Ham. That's just from the Rush Bible Creek Church. Look at Bible.org. This is just regular Christian. This is regular Christian websites. This isn't nothing fancy. It says the biblical mention of the people in the Far East named Sinim, together with references in the ancient secular histories to the people of the Far East are called Sinite, at least suggest the possibility that some of Sin's descendants migrated eastern, while others went south into the land of Canaan. It is significant that the Chinese people have always been identified by the prefix Sino. They never let go of their prefix. They're proud. They're loud and they're proud. Sino-Japanese War Sinology. What is sinology? When you look up the word sinology, it means the study or the history of what? Chinese people. The study of Chinese history is sinology. The name Sine is frequently encountered in Chinese names in the form of Xiang or its equivalent. The evidence is tenuous, but all the names in the table of nations, it does not seem that the 2 of Canaan have the Hittites. You know, I love to talk about them. They say, now this source says the Hittites and the Sinites are most likely to have become ancestors of the Oriental people. So right here, this source says that the Sinites And the Hittites are what? Oriental people. Now, I link Oriental people to who? You also got to put in your Russians, okay? Keep reading. It says, let's keep reading. It says, since it seems reasonable that the divine inspiration would include in such a table of information considering the ancestry of all major streams of human development, it is responsible to conclude that the Mongoloid people, and therefore also the American Indians, have come from the Hamitic line. Who's in there again? The American Indian? These people are going to die. They will, you know, I'm going to bring up something since they talk about Lot and his wife. You know, Abraham, you know, shout out to Abraham, of course. We are a loving people. We are a loving people. History just says it. Abraham in Sodom and Gomorrah, right? He went off to find people to see if any of them were worthy to be saved, correct? And no, and they were told, he kept going back and saying, hey, can I find more? Can I find more? Can I look for more? Is there any more? Is there any more? And you know what happened? He couldn't find any. He kept searching. And then Lot, when it was time for him to leave with his wife kept looking back. She felt sad. And Sodom and Gomorrah was a Canaanite city. It was a Canaanite city. She kept looking back because she felt terrible because of who? The Canaanites. It's always the Canaanites. But let's just keep going. Sinem. Here we go. Quick, easy breezy. These are easy breezy sources I'm using. These are easy breezy sources I'm using. Easy. Like I said, I'm not using right now at the beginning. I'm just showing you how easy it is to find this information. I'm going to get into the nitty gritty in just a second. But this is the easy. Sinem, the land of Sin. And the inhabitants of the land of Sin or the people of Sin is the biblical Pax Legomenon that appears in Isaiah 49:12. Behold, these shall come from afar, and lo, these from the north and the west to the land of Sin. Now it says they said signed is with China, Latinized with Kin, and they say the Qin dynasty. This is what the brothers did mention. They said young analytical coordinates of the Bible defines the word as the people of the Far East, the Chinese. Okay. Now, Sinem is linked to Chinese, and they're also linked to Sin, which also links to who? The Sinites. Keep going. Now, look at this here. We keep going. Easy work. Sinai, Sinite, Sinem, Sin, Scythian, meaning. There it is right there. This is the biblical name of Sinem and Sin. Look how they all link. Sinai, Sinite, Sinem, Sin. All of it links together. And what does it say here? It says that it's a thorn. Remember, we just saw that from the blue letter. Very simple, easy source. Easy. Now, let's look down here. It tells you Sinai is a mountain. They're telling you that the Sinite is a Canaanite people. They're telling you that Sinem, a Far Eastern people, quite possibly the same as the Chinese. Again, they're linking all of this together for you, and they completely are ignoring it. Where's all the linkage to the South Africans? I want to see it. Where is it? If my information is not good enough, where's yours? I want to see where your stuff is for the South African. I want to see it. Now let's talk about Qin country. Now the Chinese Union version translates Sinem, so the name Sinem, which is in the Bible. We're going to slow down and we're going to actually take some time, and we're getting ready to build now. Okay, let's take some time because I went pretty fast, but now we're going to go through the path to see how they got to Sinem and how they got to Sinite. I was just showing you how easy it is to just do a quick Google search, what you can find out here. But now let's do our real research, okay? Let's do it. So the Chinese Union version translates Sinem as Quin country with an in-text note of the Hebrew transliterization. Qin County is the country of Quin, China since established of Quin or Sin. So China is Quin. Well, it was Sin, which turned into Quin, then turned to Chin. Let me say that again. It started off as Sign, then it went to Quin, then it went to Chin. We're going to break that down. This is not even the source. This is just something simple. Let's go. Now, let's pull up our good stuff here. We got the Britannica right here. Now we got the Britannica. We're not even using no Bible source. Let's go out of the Bible. Let's go into the Encyclopedia Britannica. Sino-Tibetan language group of languages that include both Chinese and the Tibeto-Burman language. In terms of numbers of speaking, they constitute the world's second largest language family after the Indo-European, including more than 300 languages, more dialects in a wider sense. Sino-Tibetan has been defined also as Tao, Karen language families. Some scholars also include Hmong languages and even Ket languages of Siberia. So they say Sino-Tibetan languages are what we would consider to be the Chinese language. So that name Sino goes right with the Chinese, okay? Let's go over here to Chinese in the Encyclopedia Britannica. It says the Chinese language is also called what? Sinitic. Sinitic. Guys, I'm not making this stuff up. It's called Sinitic based off of who? The Sinites. It gets to the point, like I said, I'm so disappointed in Bishop Nathaniel. You guys should be too. You guys should be too, because they're rejecting the knowledge. And not only are they rejecting the knowledge, they're putting a group of people in a place where they don't belong. You take yourself, a lot of our African brothers and sisters are looking into this research. They're wanting to understand the Table of Nations. They're putting their faith in you. They go to your website and you got them down as a Canaanite. Now, some of you may say, well, they're not talking about the South Africans. They're talking about the Pygmies or the Khoisan. Well, the Khoisan, I'm sorry, the Bible says 7 nations mightier and powerful than you, not smaller and tinier. Okay, but anyway, I'm just saying it doesn't go with it. But right here, as you see in the Britannica, there's no need to speculate. We're just reading it from the horse's mouth that the Sinitic language, Chinese Han, and we're getting ready to get into this name Han in just a second. Let's go. So let's talk about the great dynasties of China. They had 2. Like I said, the first dynasty was called Sin, right? S-I-N. The second one turned into the Qin dynasty. So let's see here. So they say the Qin dynasty that established the first great empire, the first great Chinese empire, the Qin, which only lasted for 221 to 207 BC, but from which the name China is derived. Remember, we just saw that really quick source where they tell you that San went to Qin and then Qin went to Qin. So here we are over here to Han. I'm just showing you this here, Han. It says Han Dynasty, the second great imperial dynasty of China, the Zhao Dynasty. It succeeded the Qin Dynasty. Okay, so they were also called Qin, and Han. I want you to see that. Okay. Now let's look at this source here when they talk about the history of China. They say China, one of the countries that can boast of an ancient civilization, has a long, mysterious history. You hear that word mysterious because a lot of this information is cut off from all of us. All right. Now, they say that it's almost 5,000 years old. So China is very powerful. And they've been around for 5,000 years, meaning they've been around pre-flood and post-flood, okay? And they continued on, unlike the Israelites who came way later. Okay. The Chinese been around for a very, very long time. Now, I want you guys to see here. It says China can trace her culture back to a blend of small original tribes, which have expanded till they became the great country we have today. They say it is recorded that the Yamanu man is the oldest hominoid in China, and the oldest dynasty is Xia dynasty. You see that? XIA. I purposely want you guys to see that. That is the oldest. It is XIA. Remember that because we're getting ready to take a look into that right now. Why? Let's take a look. There it is. Boom. This is the oldest. Now here we got Wikipedia, very simple source. It says XIAN, the Zion is the, or Cheyenne, is the capital of the Chinese province. Okay. Now we just said that. That is the capital. Also, look over here. They say Zion Chinese Mandarin form of the surname. It's also a surname. So not only is it the name of one of the oldest capitals of China, one of the oldest civilizations, but it's also a surname. Now, why am I making a big deal about this? Because I want you guys to come down here and take a look at this. Zion is a Chinese surname that the Romanizes to what? Ham. It Romanizes to Ham or Ham in Cantonese. So they were called Ham. Their name is still Ham. The only difference is in the Roman language is Ham, but in the Chinese language is Shan or Zan or whatever, however they say it, but they're still calling themselves Ham. They still call themselves Ham, loud and proud. The only difference is that they call themselves that in their language, but the Romans were calling them Ham because they're Hamites. Remember, their whole dynasty was called Zion or Cheyenne, which is Ham. Right there, it's a Chinese surname that Romanizes to Ham. What is this? Their capital right now of China is called Ham. It's still called Ham. Look at the etymology right over here. It is a surname. And here's another one down here. Nice old Wikipedia. This is just right here. Really quick, easy sources for you guys. The Chinese surname Zion is commonly Romanized again as Ham in Cantonese. Right there, Zion Ham. Same thing. It's Ham. So when we go back, the history of China, they tell you that the Xia dynasty is the oldest, which is Ham dynasty. Now they already told you that they're Hamites. They told you that, and they're still using the name Ham. But guess what? These camp leaders are going to ignore. They're going to reject this information. Don't fall. Don't get rejected by the Most High with them. Don't get, because they get, what is it to gain the world but to lose your soul? Because you want to teach false information. Again, Ham is a surname for Chinese people. This is my China roots. Right there, it says Ham surname, meaning it says Ham is a common last name found among overseas Chinese communities around the world. In fact, Ham is the transliteration of several different Chinese surnames. Its meanings varies depending on how it's written in Chinese and which dialect it's pronounced in. So, what do you see? Hi, ho, hu, he. These are all means Ham. It says Ham is a Chinese surname that can be written in 3 different ways. Down here, this is a way that it can be written in. Look at the ways that it can be written in down there. They keep their name. They're loud and they're proud. Again, the Christians even are telling you. The Christians are telling you that they're Hamites. And now we're looking at their history. Now we're looking at the history. Now we're digging in to figure out how they got to that point. We're evaluating the Christians right now in history to see how they are getting to the Sinites. Now, again, revolutionary form, Khan is another translation or transliteration of Ham. Yes, so we got the name Ham, which is actually Cham, right? When you look at Khan, this is from the Britannica, it's also spelled Cham. So they're still calling themselves Ham with Khans, Genghis Khan, for instance. And if you guys go, I couldn't play their whole breakdown of their video, but they mentioned Genghis Khan. And they say after they had, you know, the reason why they were originally black, but the reason why their skin tone is lighter is because they were whited out by Genghis Khan, who was just another Hamite. And they said, oh, well, he had green hair and supposedly had red hair and green eyes. Excuse me, not green hair, green eyes and red hair. So that's why they look the way they look, ladies and gentlemen. According to their research, they committed incest and they had down Mongoloidism and then got whited out by Genghis Khan. If you guys laugh at my research, then you really should be laughing at theirs. Because Mongoloidism doesn't even exist anymore. That is considered to be pseudo-racist science. But anyway, it says Ham is an archaic or alternative spelling to the title Khan, representing a sovereign prince or ruler in Central Asia and Mongol history. It is derived from the French and medieval Latin variation of the term. It is important to note that it is distinct from the Ham people of Southeast Asia. So look, the Khan people are distinct Ham. There's Ham people in where? It didn't say Southeast Africa. It said Southeast Asia. Because they're not the same. People in Southeast Asia are not the same as the people that are, people that use Khan, right? Khan people are a different, like the Indian people and things like that. They're still Asians, but they're not Southeast Asian. They're not Chinese. But the Chinese people call themselves Ham, Zion, or Shan, and they still keep their title Han. Khan is still Ham. They're all keeping Ham. The only people that don't know this is you and I. And you know why we don't know this? Because we don't want to know it. Let's just be honest. This information is just there. Let's also talk about the linguistic shift of Han to Ham. Remember we talked about it just a second ago. We talked about the Han dynasty, H-A-N, Han dynasty. Well, it was previously called the Ham dynasty, okay? It was literally called Ham. And guess what? Right here, it says the Cantonese in a conservative dialect, meaning and retains the final consonant sounds of ancient Chinese that other dialects like Mandarin have lost. Biblical Ham in Cantonese is Ham. Phonetic accuracy, it perfectly preserves the original Hebrew M ending. Historical characteristics pronounce Ham, meaning all or salted. This character is a linguistic cousin to the name Ham. Now, they said that Cantonese at one point in time did have H-A-M, but guess what? They did a phonetic shift from Ham to Han. So H-A-M is still the same as H-A-M. They just changed it. So they say the transition from the name of the patriarch of the name of the people of Han follows a standard linguistic nasal merger. It says the rule over century, many northern Chinese dialects shifted the M to the N ending. So they shifted, they took the M and they made it an N, but it's still the same. So they say the result, Ham is now Han, which Cam is now also Han. Remember we just saw that? Khan is now, they took Cam too and made Cam into Khan. And they took Ham into Han. All right, so here it is down here. Cam is now, which is Ham, which is Cam. Ham It's now Han. Okay, that's the language shift. Now they're doing this because they also want, like I said, they want to keep us in the dark too. They keep changing their name, but it still means the same thing. The information is there though. That's why I said if you really want to get to the nitty gritty, you got to research it. But even the Christians have done the hard work for us. It's already there. Why is IUIC out here teaching this? Let's keep going. Now, oops, pushed the wrong button. This is one of my favorite things is Babylonianism. I like to talk about Babylon because the Bible likes to talk about Babylon. The Bible likes to talk about Babylon the Great, right? Mystery Babylon. This is a mystery. Did you know that there is something called Sino-Babylonianism? Yes, Sino, which is Chinese. They link to Babylon and they have a story. They have a historical tale, and this is where we're getting to the Yellow Emperor. The Yellow Emperor is where you get Sino-Babylonianism. It all links to him. And they tell you that they rejected, it's a myth, this isn't true. But they give you a story. They tell you after the Most High confounded the language, after the Tower of Babel, they give homage to who? The Yellow Emperor. And they say that he's the reason why they went to the east. So if people want to know what is the story, how did they make it to the east? Well, they have a story. It's called Sino-Babylonianism. I didn't make this up. This is real. This is an actual legend of theirs. And this is a theory. Now, it says Sino-Babylonianism. Let me zoom in for you guys. Zoom in. All right, Sino-Babylonianism is the theory now rejected by most scholars. Of course it's rejected. You know, they don't want you to believe that in anything of the Bible. But it says that the 3rd millennium BC, the civilization which existed in Babylonian region provided that essential elements of material civilization and language to what is now China. There it is, China. Again, with what word? Sino. It says Albert Terrin de la Couperet was the first theorist to hypothesize that a massive migration from Babylonians brought the basic elements of early civilization to China. So they're telling you that the Babylonians left. And who were the Babylonians? Again, when we look at research, the Babylonians were the Canaanites. Now people say, well, how was Babylon the Canaanites when we know that it was the Cushites who established it? Yes, but the Canaanites were there as well. Hamites, is that more comfortable for everybody? Babylon is Hamites, would that be more comfortable? Okay, now in the late 20th and early 21st century, scholars have used newly excavated archaeological evidence to argue that some particular elements of ancient Chinese civilizations were carried Western or Central Asia to China, and that there are linguistic ties between the two sides of the Asian continent. So not only are they saying that the archaeologists, they have evidence to argue that there are elements of ancient civilizations were carried from the Western or Central Asia to China. So they're letting you know that, hey, these people did start in the land of Shinar and they moved towards China. They have archaeological evidence as well as linguistic ties. Now let's take a look at his theory. This is what they say. They say the French sinologist, there's that word, sinologist, Albert Terrin de la Couperet presented extensive and detailed arguments in the Western origins of the early Chinese civilizations from 2300 BC to 200 AD in 1892 that the Chinese civilization had been founded by the Babylonian immigrants. He wrote, everything in Chinese antiquity and tradition points to a Western origin. No sinologist who has studied the subject has been able to ascertain any other origin of the Chinese than the one from the West. It is through the northwest of China proper that they have gradually invaded the country, and their present greatness began from a very small beginning, yet some 40 centuries ago. Now, It says Recupere claimed that the Yellow Emperor was a historical Mesopotamian tribal leader who led a massive migration of his people into China around 2300 BC and founded what later became the Chinese civilization. He further claimed a similarity between the trigrams and the hexagrams in the ancient Chinese texts, the Yijing and the Mesopotamian hieroglyphs. Okay? So, what is that talking about? You guys can definitely take a look at that later. You can let me pull all of it up for you so you can see, and I'm not going to read all of it, but he's just going into more details as to prove that these people began in Babylon and that they moved to the west, or I'm sorry, to the east, to China. Again, they keep that name Sino. Sinology is the history of China, which links back to the Sinites. Where is Moab at? Where is Moabo? Where is Moabo? Where is Mo anything? No, you're not seeing anything. These people have been around for 5,000 years. You should be able to see something that links them back to Moab. Anything. Where? If you haven't, please share. All right, so Sino-Babylonianism is the historical and linguistic theory that the foundation of Chinese civilization, including its writing system, astronomy, so not only the writing system, the astronomy and social structure were brought to East Asia by migrants from ancient Mesopotamia, Babylon, Sumer, around 2300 years. Now, this is the core argument, the migration of the Bach. The theory was popularized in the late 19th century by Terrien de la Couperet, who proposed that a tribal leader named Nahute, identified as the Yellow Emperor, led the Bach people, the ancestors of the Han Chinese, and remember Han is Ham, from the regions of Elam/Babylonia to the Yellow River Valley. Linguistic links. It says Le Couperet pointed to similarities between the Sumerian cuneiform and early Chinese character seal script. The number 60, he argued that the Chinese sexagenary cycle, 60-year calendar system, was directly derived from the Babylonia sexagesmal system based 60 math. Also, astronomy. Both cultures shared advanced knowledge of the 28 lunar mansions and the importance of the Northern Dipper, Ursa Major. Again, I don't know how many times I have to preach this to you guys. These people were not primitive. These people were very knowledgeable. Like they just showcased to you that they had all this knowledge. This is not made up. This is people aren't wasting their times like IUIC lying. These people actually have the cuneiform tablets. They actually have the archaeology. They see that these people had knowledge of the calendars, astronomy, all types of, like I said, all types of archaeological findings to support this. So let's keep going though. Now, according to Chinese mythology, now we're going into the Chinese mythology. It says the Emperor Hongdi is considered a common ancestor to the Chinese people, and legend states he transformed into a yellow dragon. Now, I don't mind if you believe in this or not. This is not the point. I'm not here to talk about the mythical. I'm going to speak on it because this is about their history. And it is interesting about how they believe, how they tell their story. This is their story, right? So we're listening to their story. So they said, legend claims that after centuries of ruling, the heavens open and a yellow dragon descends to take the yellow emperor to the sky where he resides as a deity. Now, if you guys saw the beginning of my video, I showed an Asian woman who talks about the number 666, which is the number of who? And they say that that number is a holy number. It means awesome. And they also say that they are the people of the dragon. Okay? We're going to make a connection there. But anyway, let's talk about the cosmic origins and fallen angels, like the Bible speaks of, as well as the migration path of the Chinese or the Sinites. Now, they say, this is according to them, the Sinite tribe, sons of Canaan, separates from the confusions of tongue. 2, Central Asia corridor led by a patriarchal figure, the Yellow Emperor. So after the Most High confounded everybody's language, everybody had to leave. He destroyed everything, right? So they say, this is the Asians, this is not me. They said that the Yellow Emperor came and he moved them east, carrying the forbidden or celestial knowledge of the old world. So they're telling you they still have the knowledge. All this knowledge that they had, that the Most High confounded the language, they still possess the knowledge. And you wonder why these people are so technologically advanced, because they're paying homage to the gods or the fallen angels. They tell you that we didn't come up with this information, but let's just keep going. They say that they entered the region of the Northwest, a detail preserved in Chinese oral history. This is in their history. They say they entered the region of the Northwest, and then they say it was the Yellow River. They defeated this indigenous giant tribes. Now, they're letting us know that they actually had a battle with giants to get this land. Okay, so whether you believe in the giants or not, that's not the point. I don't want to defer from the point of what I'm making. This is the history of the Chinese, the Sinites. They're saying that they left from the Tower of Babel. They said in the Bible that the Canaanites spread abroad, okay? And what the Bible says is that they traveled, these Asians or these Sinites are telling us that they traveled east. And it says here, the historical reconstruction identifies the Yellow Emperor as the great patriarch of the Sinites, the man who successfully navigated the Sinite branch of Ham's lineage across the continent to establish what would become the longest standing civilization in the world. Now, let's talk about the cosmic origins. Let's get more into it. The divine technology. Now, this is according to the Chinese. They said the Yellow Emperor is traditionally described not as a slow human invention, but as a series of direct revelations from celestial beings. So they're letting you know that according to their history, that the Yellow Emperor was giving information from celestial beings. Now, this should not sound far-fetched to anyone, including people from IUIC, because we know that the Most High put in charge angels over everybody, right? There were 70 angels over every of the 70 nations. They had 70 angels. The problem is that the angels were there to help us and to guide us, but instead they started to do what? They started to worship them. Correct? So this shouldn't sound far-fetched. The only thing is that this angel was there and it was helping. Now, it says, in context of your research, these accounts read like a historical record of the Sinite-Hamite line interacting with watchers or fallen angels to gain a technological edge. It says the Dark Lady of the Nine Heavens. Now, this is what they're saying. They said the most pivotal moment in Sinitic tech history occurs during the war against the giants Shayu. They said that they had a war with giants, and then they said when the Yellow Emperor was failing. So they said the Yellow Emperor was failing. The Dark Lady descended from the clouds to intervene. They said the revelation, she did not just give him a blessing, she gave him blueprints. She is credited with teaching him the Longmen Bigfa, the art of war of the Dragon Gate. Now, remember, when you look at the scriptures, it says that the Canaanites had the knowledge of war, and they were to teach the Israelites the knowledge of war. How did they get the knowledge? They get the knowledge because they were the ones that were dealing with these fallen angels. Right here, they say, she did not just give him a blessing, she gave him blueprints. She is accredited with teaching them the Longmen Bifa, the art of war of the Dragon Gate, and the secrets of the 12 sacred delves. It says the scripture of power. She provided him with the Yinfa Jing, scriptures of the hidden accord, a cryptic text that explains how to control the natural world and the energies of the cosmos. In many biblical frameworks, the Dark Lady is viewed as a female manifestation of the fallen angels who is recorded in the book of Enoch, traded heavenly secrets for influence over the human lineage. Now, the thing is that this is their history. They're telling us that the reason why they're able to do what they're able to do wasn't because, as all these civilizations say, they pay homage to their God. Okay. And they're telling us right here that this woman is the reason why they are even in their land. This angel, or whatever you want to call it, cosmic being, came down and provided them knowledge. This is their story. They were failing against these giants. Now, a lot of this stuff is hidden. This is called, if you guys want to do more research, she's called the Dark Lady of the Nine Heavens. And she's also gave them the Longman Bigfa and the Yingfu Jing. They said it's hidden knowledge of the cosmos. Okay. Now let's get back into it. So they say, from a genealogical perspective, the divine technology represents the Hamitic advantage. While other lines were living simply, the Sinitic line, led by the emperor, was utilizing mechanical engineering, advanced chemistry, binary logic, complex governance. The Sinitic records are very clear. They did not evolve these tools. They were granted these by beings who descended from the stars, the Big Dipper, which is the same thing that we hear from the Dogon, pretty much, even though they're still kind of, still very primitive, but they were saying that they got knowledge from things coming down. But the thing is that what's the number one point of all of what I'm saying? The number one point of what I'm saying is that the Sinitic people have records and they link to China. So regardless if you believe that they had any interactions with fallen angels, the thing is that these Chinese people are calling themselves Sinites, and that they're telling you that they were preserved themselves as Sinites. That's the main point, is to let you know that they are Canaanites. So irregardless, I don't know if you are following them. I don't. That's not my point. My point is that they have preserved this stuff very detailed, and they are letting us know that they are in fact the Sinites. That's what the point is. Now, the yin and the yang. Everybody knows about the yin and the yang. I had a yin and a yang when I was a kid. I didn't know anything about it, but everybody had one. And the thing is, this yin yang, the Yellow Emperor was the one to have been credited with not necessarily inventing it, but he was the one taught to everybody to observe it. He's the one that discovered it. Okay, the yin yang. The knowledge of the yin yang. And guess what? He says that Yellow Emperor did not invent the yin and the yang. He was reportedly taught how to observe them by celestial messengers. Again, the Dark Lady or the Plain Girl. He realizes that everything in the universe, from the stars to human pulse, operates on binary balance. Yang, light, heat, male action, the heavens. Yin, dark, cold, female stillness, the earth. Now, it says the most direct connection is found in the Hongdi Neijing, the Yellow Emperor's inner canon. This is the foundation of all Chinese medicine. So they're letting us know that they got this knowledge from who? Cosmic beings, extraterrestrial beings, fallen angels, gods, whatever you want to classify them as. But if you ever wonder, why is the Chinese so advanced? They're this, they're that. That's because, like right now, they say that they're the only ones that have hydrogen bombs. How did they get the knowledge of having hydrogen bombs? How did they get the knowledge of the nuclear warheads? All of that. Well, guess what? They'll tell you, if you listen to them, that, hey, we got them from these angels. We got them from these gods. But people want to reject the knowledge because it doesn't fit their paradigm. You want to reject the knowledge. They're telling you how they got it, just like the Egyptians. They told us. We got to start listening to the people in the past, because the people in the future, the people right now are hiding this information, and they're also obfuscating it, okay, from us, because they don't want you to wake up. They want you to stay in the dark. They want you to believe that you're an ape, a primate. That's what they want you to believe, and that you're primitive. The people in the past didn't know anything. That's what they want you to believe. Now, again, the thing is, they have all this information preserved in the Hongdi Neijing, more sources to prove to you that these people are in fact the Sinites. That's what this is about. And they're telling us right here He introduced an acupuncture and herbalism as technologies to restore this balance. He argues that a Sinite must live in harmony with the seasons, the external yin and yang, to achieve longevity. Not my words, their words. They just call themselves Sinites again. It says, while later Taoism became a religion, the original Tao, the way under the Yellow Emperor, was a system of cosmic governance. The Sinite connection. As the leader of the Sinitic Hamites, Hung Di taught that the human body and the human kingdom must mirror the heavens. So again, they're letting us know that he taught his people. This is the Yellow Emperor. He says, hey, it makes sense why they completely erased him from history, because they're letting you know that they're the Sinites. He's telling the Sinitic people, his Sinitic people, that, hey, in order for us to be able to do what we got to do, we got to stay in he gave them all this knowledge. It doesn't say again, Moabite people. Okay. It doesn't say Moabite at all. So let's also talk about the silk in the Yellow Emperor's era. So we know about the Silk Road. Those of you that are familiar with history should know about the Silk Road. So the very name Silk Road starts again with the Yellow Emperor. All this knowledge supposedly came from this Yellow Emperor, but this came from his wife, Lezu. They said the discovery, according to Sinitic history, again, whose history? Not Moabite history, but Sinitic history. Lezu discovered silkworms while having tea under a mulberry tree. She developed the technology to reel the silk and weave it into fabric. The strategic asset. This technology gave the Sinitic people a high-value celestial commodity. Long before the formal Silk Road, silk was being traded westward towards the Middle East and Egypt, where silk had been found in 1000 BC tombs. Hamitic tech. This rapid development of luxury textiles is a classic marker of Hamitic lines focused on high civilization and industry. What did they say? The Hamites had what? Luxury textiles and high civilization and industry. This whole primitive thing about Hamites being primitive, they are not primitive people. Again, we see with the Egyptians, very I'm telling you, technological group of people, okay? And the Canaanites were even better, right? Now, the divine technology on the road. The Silk Road was the vein through which the Yellow Emperor's forbidden or heavenly knowledge flowed. It said the south-pointing chariot. This early compass was essential for navigating the shifting sands of the Gobi and the Taklamakan Desert. Without this technology, the Sinite migration from the west would have been impossible. It says, as the Sinites moved along the corridor, they left cultural imprints. The Hung Lao tradition, Taoism, contains many elements, astronomy, alchemy, and medicine, that share roots with the Babylonian and the Egyptian sciences found at the other end of the what? Silk Road. Now, who are they paying homage to again? They're paying homage to the Yellow Emperor, who they're saying got the cosmic information from who? These angels. Now, again, I want you guys to take a look here at these people. So we got Anatolia, which is Turkey. That's Anatolia's in Turkey, which is where the Hittite Canaanites were located, the sons of Heth. They produce iron. Okay, Petra. A lot of them like to talk about the Esau, the so-called white man. However, Esau married who? He married Canaanite. So my thing is how, if first of all, it doesn't make any sense that I like to say this again, the only white man supposedly on earth married the black people of the Canaan and then remained white. That is not possible. If anybody should be laughing, they should be laughing at that. They should be making fun of that, because that doesn't make any sense. What would make sense if the Canaanites were white and then they married and mixed in with them, then that makes more sense. All right, but Petra, the dukes, they had incense that they were trading, which is Edom. And then you had the yin yang controllers. They had the management of silk, spice, and origins. What's so great about this? What's so great about this is that China still to this day, like they were back then, and to this day, they still are trading. This is nothing new. Right now, we all still depend on who? China for all of our goods and our services. We go through China. And this Silk Road is still being utilized in effect to this very day. And guess what? Each of these Canaanites, we see that the Hittites, they had iron. The Dukes, which were Edomites, which were mixed with the Canaanites, they had incense routes. And then we see that the East Asians at the beginning had silk and spices. Now, again, the mention of let's talk about the yin yang gong. So, yin yang gong was also a Duke. Okay, so the first Dukes were who? The first Dukes were Canaanites. The Dukes came from the Hivites. That's the first thing to do. So when everybody likes to talk about, oh, the Dukes are Esau. Well, Esau got Dukes from Canaanites. They weren't the first Dukes. The first Dukes, according to scripture, were who? The Canaanites. And guess what? They took on the lineage of the Canaanites. And also, who also had Dukes were the Asians. They had Dukes too. And they had the Yin Yang Duke, who suggests a fascinating link to the Eastern Silk Road. In the context of the Silk Road, Yin Yang Gong often refers to the administrative controllers of the trade gates in the East. It says the Southern Silk Road wasn't just for goods, it was for titles and ideas. The concept of a controller or a duke of a trade sector was universal, just as Dukes of Petra, which, like I talked about, Petra is where right here it says the Dukes of Petra were the Canaanites, the Hivites, and the Hittites managed the desert passages. So when you go down here, these two ends of the road were who? The Hittites and the Edomites. So they're letting you know that the Hittites and the Edomites controlled this. And where did they say this was located? In Asia? This has nothing to do with Africa. All of this history out here, talking about the Silk Road, talking about the Dukes, talking about the Hittites, talking about all that. But guess what IUIC had? IUIC had South African. Where did they put? Why isn't South African mentioned here? All right, let's keep going. Here it is again, Yin Yang Gong. For those of you that want to look a little bit more into it, this is a so-called deity, okay? A tireless deity or just a human being, whatever. It's a legend. The thing is, what's important about this is to talk to you guys about how they were all trading amongst each other, all working with each other. The Dukes of what? Of the Sinite Chinese, as well as the Dukes of the Hittites. That's what the main point of it all is. They all were trading goods. All right, that video is not going to work, so I'm just going to skip past it. Okay, so this is also very interesting. As above, so below. What is good is bad is now is what's supposed to be good is now bad, and what's bad is now good, right? That's what the Bible says. That's what people talk about. What am I talking about? So this is just another fun fact to learn about with the Asians, the Sinites, the Chinese. Okay, what about them? The pig is the lamb to the Chinese. Pigs are used in China to atone for their sins. Yes. So just like the Hebrew Israelites were utilizing the what? The lamb, the Chinese were utilizing the pig. And they believed that eating pork brings good fortune. And the more pork you eat, the more lucky or the more fortunate you become. Take a look at this. This is from the World History Encyclopedia. It says pigs, sometimes called Suids or the Suidae family, have long played an important part in Chinese culture. Pigs symbolize good fortune and happiness, as they seem to live a carefree existence and have a long relationship with humans who have seen them this way. In 2010 study, in fact, found that modern-day pigs in China are the direct descendants of the first pigs domesticated thousands of years. So who domesticated the first pigs? Ham is not, you're not supposed to eat ham, but the Hamites, you expect it to be the Hamites, right? And where was it done? It wasn't done in Africa. It was done in China. It says the pig is the earliest domesticated animal in China after the dog. Gravers have been found to contain pig skulls and ornaments thought to symbolize both wealth of the deceased and continuing good luck. The long relationship between the people of China and the pig is evidenced not only by grave goods and other artifacts, but by the number of tales from the Chinese folklore featuring the pig, as well as its place in the 12th animal of the Chinese zodiac. The pig is so important to the Chinese culture, in fact, that it features the pictograph for home, as noted by scholar Charles Ben. It says the word home in Chinese is a pictograph of a roof with a pig beneath. This is how important the pig is. It says throughout Chinese history, even in the 20th century, the pig has been the most prized source of meat, butchered and eaten on ceremonial or sacrificial occasions by even the most humble people. For that reason, the lowly peasant made every effort to protect and create from theft and allocated space from within the house. It says pigs were not only used for their meat, however, but were also a part of ritual sacrifice to the gods and symbols of personal wealth and success. That is the complete opposite of the Bible. Eating pork is an abomination. You're not supposed to eat pork. But in Chinese, it would make sense that the Canaanites, right? It would make sense that they would do the opposite. It would make sense that ham, that's why it's called ham, because they ate so much, because it was so important to them. It says pigs represent good luck. I'm going to play that video to you guys in a second too, just in case those of you that didn't see it at the beginning. But did you see that? You see how opposite that is? It says here, pigs were domesticated in China 10,000 years ago. Many scholars claim that the first evidence of domesticated pigs come from the Xinpian sites in Guilin City. So, it says, according to Wan and Rowan, 4 conditions needed to be present for the domestication of the pigs. They need for meat, which could not be met by hunting, wild pigs living in proximity to human settlements. So they were just letting you know why they did what they did. However, the thing is that pigs were considered to be of good luck. It says a family that could own a pig, not a cow, not a lamb, but it says a family that could own a pig was considered successful. And eating the pig was usually reserved for special events. And we're going to talk about that special event in just a second. I got the event right here. I got the event, but it's not going to play because the sound is not working on the video. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay. 1 second. Let's see what we can do. 1 second. Now let's play it. All right. So that was called the Shinzu Holy Pig God Pig Festival. All those pigs are force fed. The bigger the pig, this festival comes, and we're going to look at a source. Let me look at a source for you right there. There we go. Boom. It's called the Shinzu. That was just last year. That was just the festival last year. We just saw their festival. They have it every single year. And the larger your pig, so they force feed these pigs, right? They force feed them. And what they do is that when the fatter the pig is, the larger it is, the more it will atone for your sins. Do you hear me? It's backwards. So they need to feed this pig. You saw those big old things. Those they say right here. Listen, this is from Wikipedia, very simple source, nothing fancy, easy for anyone to find. It says Shinzu or God pig, sometimes known as the holy pig. When did pigs become holy? It says are pigs that have been chronically fattened for use in Hakka, religious and cultural ceremonies such as the Yimnan festival and the Lunar New Year celebration in Sangsha, northern Taiwan. It says pigs are fattened in a process similar to gavage to make them as large as possible in preparations for contests and awards at the festival. The heaviest pig is declared the winner, and the owner may receive a prize. The winning pig and other pigs entered into the contest are ritually killed as a sacrifice to the city god or a local deity. One popular temple that continues this tradition is Shangfu Temple, which is dedicated to the deified Buddhist monk Master King Shul. However, contrary to popular belief, the pig is not sacrificed to I don't care who the pig is sacrificed to. They utilize the Buddhist monk. So all these people get up here and they want to talk about Buddhism and how they don't eat meat and all this kind of stuff. They're forcefully feeding these pigs. You got to eat pork. It says after being sacrificed, the hair of the winning pig is removed or the bristles shaved into the patterns and the skin is stretched across a metal frame. Further decorations are added, such as placing a pineapple in its mouth. The stretched skin along with the carcasses or stretched skins or the other fattened pigs are then paraded on the float. Many holy pigs end up weighing over 1,800 pounds, whereas a normal pig will only weigh 120 or 260 pounds. So they're feeding these pigs. If you guys look at these videos, they're literally taking, the pig can't even move, it can't walk, and they're just shoving food in its mouth. And the thing is, the more fatter your pig is, the more sins it can atone for. The more luck you can have, and the more successful you will be. Where did they come on now? That's so backwards, right? That is so, you can't get any more backwards than that. You can't. That's not you. If this was found in Africa, if they found this in Africa, honey, it wouldn't be no debate. This pig, I mean, their name is Sinite. Their holy animal is a pig. And IUIC is just going to ignore this. But just like they reject the knowledge, the Most High is going to reject them. That's just the way it's going to be. And that's so sad. That's so sad, guys. I really do care about my people, but my people just don't seem to care about the Most High's truth. Now, we were just talking about the Silk Road and how they paid homage to the Yellow Emperor. Now, the Silk Road, this is what the Silk Road is said to have looked like. Okay, and they're saying that the reason why they had the knowledge or even the trade routes was because of the calendars and the all of this stuff. They pay homage to what cosmic entities or what we would consider to be fallen angels, if you believe in the biblical narrative, if you feel more comfortable taking that narrative, however you want to take it. But they're fattening up these pigs and they're sacrificing these pigs every single year. This is done every single year. If you put this in that Shenzhen festival, you can find 2024, 2023. They've been doing this for thousands of years. Now, mind you, this says the China was often connected to the rest of the world through trade, not only along the famous Silk Road, but also via merchant ships that sailed the Indian Oceans connecting East Asia, the Middle East, Europe, Africa. The silk, paper, tea, porcelain were just some of the goods the Chinese exported far and wide. So the Silk Road existed, but they want to make you feel like the Yellow Emperor was not real. But he's the one that's accredited with establishing this road that they were using. I mean, come on. So let's talk about the Hittites really quick. I have to bring in my favorite Hittites. Okay. Now, I want you guys to see this is a duke in Europe. Look at what he got on his chest. See that right there? This image? This so-called cross. Zoomed in for you. Look who's on the right here. This is a Babylonian deity. Right there to the right. Guys know who he is? That's Shamash. That's the deity Shamash, the sun god. Babylonian sun god Shamash has the very same cross. That's his symbol. And look what he got on. Loud and proud, right? Loud and proud. Now let's talk about the Hittites and how they are the gatekeepers of Turkey. So they say the Hittites, the sons of Heth, were the northern anchors of this trade route. So again, this is talking about the trade route of the silk trade, the Silk Road. They tell you that the Hittites were the ones who were in control. Again, as we see today, these same people are in control of what the trade routes. Nothing has changed. But their name. Based in Hattusa, central Turkey, they were the first to master the land routes between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean. The connection, they controlled the northern entrance of the trade routes coming out of the east. Their advanced use of iron and chariots allowed them to protect and tax the early merchants moving luxury goods like silver and textiles towards Canaan. So they controlled the northern entrance. The Hittites, again, in Turkey, not South Africa. Where does it say South Africa? It says in the biblical record, the sons of Heth are depicted as sophisticated landowners. Sophisticated, not primitive people out in the bush. They were organized. Remember, they had a war and they had chariots. They had King Jabin, who was a Canaanite, had iron chariots. And historic, that was biblically. So they said King Jabin had iron chariots, and biblically, what did it say? The Hittites are the inventors of iron. It's time to stop the lies. It's time to stop rejecting the information. It's time. The Dukes of Edom and Petra, they had a hub. They were connected. As goods moved south from the Hittite lands in Damascus, they entered the territory of the Horites and later the Edomites in the region of Petra, Mount Seir. As much as they want to try to make it seem like this stuff is so fairy tale, like there is all this stuff, isn't they have really extensive, when I tell you, historical records to document the trade routes, their interactions with one another. The Bible isn't the only one that speaks of these people. The Bible just puts it all together for the Israelites who are stiff-necked and want to reject knowledge. But again, he's going to reject you. The term Duke refers to a tribal chieftain of military commander. These men were the CEOs of the desert. They controlled the water rights and the security of the caravans. Now, they don't mind the Edomite part. They don't mind the Edomite. They'll say, yeah, that's right, the Dukes of Edom. Yeah, that proves that they're the Dukes. But they don't seem to want to put in the Hittites. They don't want to put in the other people, the Sinites. They leave the Horites. They leave all them out. You see right here, the Hittite land, the Edomites, all of them are all together. It says the Petra vitality. Petra was the safe haven of the southern Silk Road because the terrain was so treacherous. Merchants paid the Edomite dukes heavy tolls for protection and access to the springs. Still happening to this day with the what? The Strait of Hormuz. Still happening to this day with the Strait of Hormuz. It's the same thing. You got to pay heavy tolls. You got to pay to get through these straits. It never ended. Petra, which was the Edomites, but before it was the Edomites, it was the Horites. The Horites owned it first, and then the Edomites, they got it. And the Edomites worked with who? The Hittites and the rest of the Canaanites. And the Sinites are the ones that are known, are said to have established this whole trade system. Come on. They said this wealth eventually built the monumental rock-cut architecture we see today. Now, they said, yes, a southern branch of the Silk Road passed through Petra because it was a vital trading hub for goods traveling towards the Mediterranean. The Nabateans managed this strategic junction, offering protection and services for trade from southern Arabia, China, and the Persian Gulf. This city became a key wealthy and cultural diverse checkpoint connecting Chinese and the Roman Empire. Petra functioned as a major crossroads in the sandstone canyons of modern-day Jordan, linking southern Arabian incense routes with the wider Silk Road network. So all of this is being conducted still to this day by the same people, and it's called the Strait of Hormuz. One portion of it is called the Strait of Hormuz, okay? But all right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes my presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had fun with you guys tonight. I want to play this video really quick because I want you guys to see it really quick. Listen to this.
666. Oh my God. I'm so scared. 666 is commonly known as devil number in Western culture. Am I right? But what does it mean in China? Let me tell you. It just has the opposite meaning. It is a cyber word commonly used to praise those who are quite excellent, outstanding in playing games. So in China, it is a compliment word. Did you get it? 666. Oh my God.
In China, it's a compliment word. Just like when they fatten up those pigs and sacrificing those pigs. Who's the person that's supposed to be doing all that? The Canaanites. That's why you got to know who they are. But I'm done. It explains why it's hidden. But let me take a look at the chat. Let's see. You said insane. Good job. Thank you. You said scholarship is on point. Thank you. You did an awesome job. Thank you. This is solid. Thank you. Fire. All right. You said R1B haplogroup, RNA, all relate. Okay, that was good. You said I'm not really mortal. You say the African Moors were more advanced than most European countries during the Dark Ages. That's fine. Just remember that there are physical markers which come directly from intermixing of the Nephilim and Denisovan. Hey, I left that out for a reason. Keep it, okay? They all work together against God's people. Hey, you said it. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, what's my sis said? Oh, like and share, please. Thank you, Hazel. You said amazing as usual. Thank you. Thank you. And what you say, numerology connects you to astrology, which is connected to astronomy. That's true too. These numbers, you said what? You're glad I saw this come up in my first live stream on the channel. Well, thank you. You know, I come with the facts and I have more. What you say, come back with more about the dragons and Buddhism. You know what? I can do that. You just subscribe. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you subscribed to my channel. Thank you. And I will be back talking about the Buddhism. I just, I got to take small steps. We got to first build up to this point, and then we'll build up more, because we just are getting our feet wet. When I tell you that was just the beginning. You said excellent presentation. Thank you so much, Lion Judah. And would you say thank you? We appreciate. Oh, thank you, Trevor. I truly appreciate you too. I'm going to drop the link. If there's anybody that wants to come up here to, if you don't like if you need more information, if you want to ask me some questions, I will definitely drop the link for you. So let me go ahead and do that. If there's anybody that wants to come up here. 1 second. You said absolutely amazing. Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Michelle Allen. I appreciate it. If you guys can, definitely send your girl a Cash App, or to definitely support the channel. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't. Please like the video. Please like the video, because, like I said, we got to get this message out. People are rejecting the knowledge. You got to stop rejecting the knowledge, because if you reject the knowledge, then that means the Most High is going to reject you. He's going to reject you. That's what he said. Thank you so much, Andre Taylor. Thank you. He will reject you. I love my people. I don't want my people to be rejected. But the thing is that people have a hard time when it comes to the Canaanites. And what you say? There was a guy in the chat disagreeing with you saying Native Americans. Those people love those. I don't know what else to say. But you got to understand, how did the Canaanites get us? I like this. Can you show their haplogroups next time? Yeah. I also did a you want their haplogroup? You know what? Let me see. Give me a second, guys. I think I have their haplogroup. It's so much to talk about, and I can be all day with the information. That's why that's why we got to do a part 2. Let me see what I got. I can be all day, and I don't want to, sometimes it can be an overload of information. And for some reason, my sound wasn't working on my videos. I knew I needed to restart, but I didn't want to restart restart my computer. But we managed to get through it. It worked out just fine. It just didn't go as smooth as I would have liked. But hey, what can you do when you're going live? I think this, let me see what this is. Nope, that's not it. This one must be it here. Yeah, there we go. I got it right here. Let me double check it. All right, so one thing I noticed is, I don't think this one links. Yep, it does. Okay, this is cool. This is a quick Google search. Look at this really quick. I hope you guys can see it. Let me share my screen. A lot of people like to talk about haplogroup J. They all love to talk about haplogroup J. Let me hide that. Haplogroup J, haplogroup J, haplogroup J. Canaanites are E, haplogroup J. That's what they like to say. So let's take a look at haplogroup J really quick. All right, and this is a quick AI, nothing special. This is just what AI gave us. So let's look and see what it says. Just a nice little screenshot. It says Y chromosome haplogroup J. Now, I didn't do anything special. I just put it haplogroup J. It says is a major paternal lineage originating near East Western Asia roughly 40,000 to 45,000 years ago. I don't, the date doesn't matter, but this is in where? This is in East and Western Asia. So you asked me, did I have their DNA? Here we go. They said it is characterized by a high concentration in the Arabia Peninsula. They say it's in the Levant, the Caucasus, North Africa, expanding into the Neolithic formers and later Bronze Age movements. The two main branches, J1, JM267, and J2, JM172, are heavily associated with who? Arab, Jewish, and Mediterranean populations. Now, it says it's originating in Western Asia. Haplogroup J is associated with the spread of agriculture, Neolithic revolution, and subsequently historical population movements like the Phoenicians. Who's listed there? The Phoenicians, expansion and Arab migrations. Let's keep reading though. They say J1 found prominently in Arabia Peninsula, Levant. J2 more common in the Eastern Mediterranean, Anatolia, Greece, Italy, parts of South Asia. And what does it says? High frequencies in Russia, Yemen. I don't know how to say this. Linguistic. I don't know how to say that. Jordan, Qatar. And what does it say? This lineage is frequently found in the studies of who? Ancient Canaanites. Ancient Canaanites. Phoenicians. And who's listed? West Asians, Anatolians, Greeks, Italy, the Mediterraneans, Arabs, Jews. Because why? This is for the Caucasus. This is J. This is J. This is an E. This is J. And they link to who? The Canaanites. Google it yourself. Haplogroup J. Who's listed? Canaanites, Phoenicians. So again, add that to it. Add that to your repertoire. Why don't you? You said, well, if that ain't the cherry on the top, hey, what more do you need? That's why the Most High said. You say she cooking, I'm cooking. It's ready too. And where's the guy at? He needs to hit the link. I dropped it. They got the problem. You said you're struggling with the reason that Edom is the progenitor of the white race. Okay, so let me talk to you, Beverly. Thank you so much. And if you haven't, please like the video and please subscribe, guys, to my channel. I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to get this information out to you. Thank you, Beverly. Now, listen to me. Hear your sister out. At first, and I'm gonna be a little. Let me say this, okay? Shout out to IUIC, okay? Even though I'm being hard on my brothers, the reason why I even know of Israelites is because of them. And my husband came to me one day and showed me a video of theirs like 7 or 8 years ago, and they're out there in the streets and they're out here teaching and preaching. And I was like, we are the Israelites. They convinced me. What I'm saying? And I said, this is us. This is our people. However, I had an issue with the other people. But I didn't mind it because, it's like, but my issue was how they were with the Africans. I didn't like that. That was my major issue. Now, when it comes to Esau is definitely the white man. Okay, he definitely is, and I will do a video on Esau. Now, how he became white is not the way that they're saying it, because they're quick in one breath. They're quick to tell you, depending on who you're listening to, they'll tell you the reason why we have darker skin is because us so-called black people mixed with the Canaanites, mixed with the Hamites. But that same logic, for some reason, doesn't work with Esau because he mixed with Canaanite women. And even though Judah married a Canaanite woman, Tamar was not Canaanite. And that's how his lineage carried on. She was an Elamite. She was a Shemitic woman. So they need to stop telling that lie. Now, here's part 2. How did Esau become white? He mixed with the Canaanites. How did the Canaanites become white? They mixed with the Horites. The Horites is a subhuman species, which we see Neanderthal and we also see a Denisovan. They lost their pigment, which made the Canaanite lose their pigment, which then when they intermarried with the Esau, he lost his pigment. His seed was spoiled. Okay. That's exactly why. And we can get more into that too. You are the original Canaanite. All of them had dark skin. Well, yes, so did Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. All of them had dark skin. Well, he was an albino, but he still was melanated. Okay, he still was black. All of them were black. What we would consider to be melanated. Science, according to science, the first people on the planet were melanated. So yeah, what's your point? The point is how did they lose their melanin? And I just told you how. Mixing with the fallen angel offspring. Yeah, hit the panel. You want to hit the panel? Let me give you the link again. You don't have to leave. You don't have to type. You don't have to be a keyboard warrior on this channel. You don't have to be a keyboard warrior. You can actually come up here and express yourself. There's the link in the chat. Very respectfully, of course. Let's keep it respectfully, but you can come on and you can definitely, if you have some questions or concern, anyone is free to come on and hit the link, because I am definitely, not only am I a teacher, I'm also a student. I have to learn things as well. So if you got something you want to share, hit the link. Like I said. So why isn't Japheth considered the progenitor of the white race when he is more fits the description? That's what's confusing to me. I did a whole presentation. If you go watch my presentation that I did, it's called The Table of Nations. I break that down for you with slides, just like how I broke this down. I break down Japheth, what happened with Japheth. Japheth is not the white race, because the white race, it was a group of people that was there before the Europeans got there. Yes, there was a group of people, and they were there before. You have to think about this. Europe received its name from a Canaanite woman, Europa, Phoenician Canaanite woman. Japheth migrated to the north, but there was a group of people that was there first. Japheth is the ones that went to the north, and they were there. But guess what? The Canaanite, it's the so-called white man, came in and conquered and ruled over them. But the thing about the Canaanites is they take on people's identities. So just like they took on the children of Israel's identity, they also took on the identity of Japheth. So I did a nice thorough breakdown, just like I did with this one. I break it down with, again, thoroughly with evidence, text-based support. So go ahead and check that out, okay? He says, albinism is a mutation. You need to mix with someone who carries that mutation like white. Nobody's saying this albinism is how they got their skin, their complexion. I said Noah was an albino, but that doesn't mean that there's black albinos and then there's white people that have albinism. So no, that is not, just because someone has albinism doesn't mean their offspring will have albinism. That's not true. And that's not what I'm saying. He said if Noah was albino, the Most High would have destroyed him. No. Why? You said you're confused. If Canaan are those ruling, how are the sons of Japheth living in the tents of Shem and Canaan his servant? When and where? Thank you so much, Michelle Allen, for the super chat. Truly appreciate it. I'm sorry, the Cash App, excuse me. Thank you guys. Please donate. You said you're confused. Yes. Think about it like this. At the beginning, Canaan was to be the servant. But what happened? The children of Israel had to remember the laws of Deuteronomy, chapter 28. There were blessings and then there were curses. The blessings of Deuteronomy, if you do right, then you will be at the head, right? The children of Israel will be at the head, and Canaan will be our servant. But if you do wrong, then you will go into captivity. Then you will become the servant, right? And Canaan, the head will be the tail. Let me provide that scripture for you. The head will be the tail, and the tail will be the head. This is where people are missing. So let's take a look at Deuteronomy. This is why this is why people miss this, because they forget. Canaan wasn't cursed to be a servant like a slave, excuse me. He wasn't cursed to be a slave. The Israelites were cursed to be a slave. Okay? They were cursed to be a slave. Canaan was just cursed to not be able to rule. They were the servants. So like in the world, there is the people who are the ruling class, and then there's the people that are out there, ruling, underneath the ruling class. And then there's the people that you would consider to be like your waiters, the people that clean, but they're not slaves. But when you look at Deuteronomy 28, and let me remove this off of here for you. Now look at this for me. I want you to take a look at Deuteronomy. This is very important. This is where people are missing. It says, and it shall come to pass. Let me make sure you can see my screen. All right. Let me zoom in so you can see. This is Deuteronomy 28, King James Version. It says, it shall come to pass that thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to do and observe all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. So, if you were to hearken unto the Most High's voice and to do all his commandments, then you will be at the high of all nations, right? But guess what? Let's go down. You get all the blessings, but let's go down to Deuteronomy 28:13. Look at that. It says, and the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail, and thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath, if that thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy God, which I command thee this day, to observe and to do them. So what is this letting you know? That you will be the head and not the tail. So who is the head? If we do right, the head will be the children of Israel. So who would be the tail? The Canaanites would be the tail, correct? And you will be above. Now, let's keep going. Now it says in Deuteronomy 28:15, but if it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So what are the curses? Cursed shall thou be in the city, cursed shall thou be in the field, cursed shall thou be thy basket and thy store, cursed shall be the fruits of the body and the fruits of the land. So you're cursed. Cursed shall be thou when it comest in, thou when you go out. The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexations, and rebuke. The Lord shall make thee pestilence. He's telling you all these curses. The Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten. So he keep going. He said he's going to smite thee with madness, blindness, and astonishment of heart, and thou shalt grope noonday. So he's giving you all these curses. He says, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them. The fruit of thy land and thy neighbors shall a nation with the knowest not eat it up. They gonna have it. He's telling you all these curses. Now, this is the most important curse. It says you should be astonishment. And it says here, thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. Then all thy trees and thy fruits of that land the locusts consume, and the stranger that is within thee shall get above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. Did you hear that? The stranger should be that's with you should be above very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. So the tail, which is who? The Canaanites, which when we were the head, if we did follow the Most High's laws, if we followed his statutes, if we followed his commandments, we would be the head, and Canaanites would rule over. The Canaanites would be our tail. They would be serving us as it is for Noah. But the children of Israel, when they did not follow the Most High's laws, statutes, and his commandments, and remember, it says stranger. It's not the Japheth, because Japheth is supposed to dwell in the tents of Shem. So this is another group that came in, which are the Canaanites, who are not supposed to be in our tents. Guess what? They are going to get above thee, because we will become the tail. So you say, well, how is the Canaanites? The Canaanites, the Israelites are now the tail. The Israelites, if they don't follow the Most High's law, statutes, and commandments, they become slaves. They become bondmen and bondwomen. It says your sons and your daughters shall go into captivity. It tells you. It says to you just like that. So guess what? When you get the blessings of the Most High, you are at the top. But when you become what? Cursed, you become the tail. But guess what? The tail is no longer Canaan, because Canaan is no longer cursed. He becomes blessed, because you are now the tail. He now becomes the head. And that's why they want to keep you at the bottom. That's why they want to keep you falling for the keep worshiping and failing, because they get to stay up at the top while you become their servants. They don't want to be your servant. Let me show you something else. 1 second. Go into the blue letter. Again, let's go into the blue letter. Let me show you something really quick. I want you guys to look at this here. Now, when this is one thing that I noticed that they love to say is the Ephraim vexing Judah and the Judah vexing Ephraim, all of that. And they say that, oh, that just means that they're jealous. That's envy and all that and all this. But there's a group of people who are called jealous right here. I'm sorry, let me go to Canaanite, not Canaan, excuse me, it's Canaanite. When you look at the word Canaanite, not Canaan, Canaanite, just want the name Canaanite, guys. Give it to me. There it is. Canaanite means zealous. Zealous means jealous. They're jealous of the children of Israel. That's what that means, zealous. It goes with the other people. So if that makes sense, I hope you guys understand that the head would be the tail. So all this stuff about Japheth and all this and all that, no, it changes, because the head is the tail. The tail is now the head. The children of Israel are in captivity. When the children of Israel become the tail, by default, the head will now be the tail, which are the Canaanites. Because if the Canaanites was cursed by Noah to be the servant of servants, they are the tail. The children of Israel are the head. Now, when they made the covenant with the Most High, and he said, you guys will be blessed, you are now the head. But if you don't follow my law, statutes, and commandments, you will then become the tail. So now we're the servants of servants. The Canaanites are no longer the servant of servants. They are now the head. I hope that makes sense. He said, what are my thoughts on the book of Enoch? Because there is a scripture talking about how Lamech was scared of Noah due to his white skin. Yeah, Noah, book of Enoch is true. Yes, he was an albino because he thought that he was the offspring of the fallen. So right there, it lets you know, if you go into the extra biblical text, the offspring of the fallen have pale skin, but Noah was a albino. So that's where we get the pale skin for the white race or the Caucasians, because they have fallen. They have some of the fallen angel, the Horite, which is a Nephilim DNA. Okay. What you say? You say white people and Indo-Europe people are related to Canaanites. We are related to the American Indians. That's true, Will. Not to be a servant. I don't know. You got a lot to say. I told you to hit the link. He said, not so. Noah's wife named Amma was a descendant of Lamech the blind, who supposedly preserved Cain's seed through the flood, though they all were mixed. No. You're adding to scripture. So what is the curse of Canaan? What curse? Canaan was cursed to be the servant of servants. But what ended up happening is that the children of Israel, they failed. And then the Canaanites continue to fail miserably by worshiping other gods. But the reason why they get to go and rule over us, I don't know if you saw my scripture. I don't know if you've been here the whole time. Let me share that. That's why you got to watch it from the beginning, because I talk about this. But let me share with you something really quickly, because I already have it for you. That's why you're missing it. Let me share with you this really quick. This is very important right here. There we go. Boom. Let me zoom back. All right. This is what it is. This is what I started off with. I want you guys to see this. I put this in the presentation. That's why I want you guys to watch it from the beginning, because this is the missing link. All right. Listen to this. Why is it important to know who the Canaanites are? Judges 3, it says, now these are the nations which the Lord left to prove Israel by them, even as many of Israel had not known all the wars of Canaan. Only that the generations of the children of Israel might know to teach them war, at least such as before knew nothing thereof. Namely, 5 lords of the Philistines, and all of the Canaanites, and the Sidonians, and the Hivites that dwelt in the mounts of Lebanon, from Mount Baal Hermon unto the enterings of Hamath. And they were to prove Israel by them, to know whether they would hearken unto the commandments of the Lord, which he commanded their fathers by the land of Moses. So what is this talking about? The Canaanites have a job, a very, very important job. Okay. Judges 3 tells us that the Most High left the Canaanites here specifically for the Israelites, to see if they can pass their test. What is the test? To see whether they would hearken unto the commandments of the Lord, of the Most High. If they would follow the Most High's law, statutes, and commandments, or would they fail and follow the gods of the Canaanites? That's what that's what the Canaanites are here to do. So the Canaanites they have gods, they have traditions, they have ways. And the thing is the Most High uses them as a tool to see if the children of Israel really will follow his laws, statutes, and commandments, if they really will be down for the Most High. And guess what? A lot of our people are failing. You know where they're in? They're in the Christian church. A lot of Christianity is not based off of the Most High. A lot of Christianity is based off of the Canaanite gods, or what we would consider to be the Babylonian gods, okay? But the Canaanites are here to test the children of Israel. It says it right there in Judges 3. Test the Israelites to see if they will do what? Hearken, listen unto the commandments of the Lord, or the Most High. All of the Canaanites are there to do that. They're not outside in the dirt. They're not outside in mud huts. You can't prove to the Most High if you'll follow the law, statutes, and commandments of people who are outside in mud huts or in the dirt. These people are very strategic people who have gods, and they've been worshiping these gods, and these gods have been allowed a short period of time. These fallen angels have been granted a short period of time to also test the children of Israel. These spirits, these so-called angels, and these Canaanites are all working hand in hand to see if the Israelites will fail. And if you fail, a lot of our people do what? Remember, this is another scripture that people got to remember. The 7 nations that are greater and mightier and powerful than you were the Canaanites. They were not primitive people. 7 great nations greater and mightier than you. Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge because thou hast rejected knowledge. People are rejecting this information because they don't want it to be them. Why does it bother you that it's them? Why does it hurt you if it's bothering you? Why? You got to think about that. If it is bothering you, you got to get over that. All right. Thank you for the cash out, Robert. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. You said no, it didn't exist? Okay. You said hut are made of bamboo. Well, let me say this to you, and I want to make sure I say this because I'm making a joke. There's poor people. Oh, I got somebody in the back. I'm sorry, I didn't even know I had my screen shared. Are you still there, Diane Tully?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
I can. Most I bless. Nice to have you on. How can I help you
tonight?
I think
I got it on double here. Let me close it one.
Let's go.
Okay. Can you still hear me?
I hear you fine.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to clarify something. You mentioned my comment, and I was speaking to somebody else in the thread, and it wasn't pertaining to what you were talking about, just to clarify. And I think you're doing an exceptional job. I didn't want to destroy the vibe and kind of look like the dunce. But at any rate, the comment I was referring to was something written in the book of Enoch, Jubilees, and I've also read the book of Adam and Eve, which was supposed to be written by Moshe. One of the other books written by Moshe, and what it says is that Lamech the blind, who was of the seed of Cain. I don't know if you read Genesis, where it talks about Tubal Cain and Jubal Cain, and the book of Yashar gets into it more in detail about how these were the progenitors of music and how they started the first to make liquor before the flood. And at any rate, the Most High told Lamech's granddaughter, who had supposedly married Noah, and it was a preserving his seed, Cain's seed through the flood. And they became, the giants and all of them. I'm sure you know the story about Enoch and the giants. You're very well versed. Well, anyway, after the flood, the seed of Cain, or during the flood, the seed of Cain were destroyed in the flood. And they became disembodied spirits, as the book of Enoch declares. And from what I studied, the Horites are, when you read, I don't know if you have a strong and a concordance, it tells you about the Horites. It means shaggy goat, cave dwellers. You know, the Neanderthal thing. You got into it early. And from what I understand, the seed of Amalek, because as you know, and you quoted, that Esau married into the daughters of the Hittites, the Hivites, and the Ishmaelites.
That's right.
And so the Horites, which were, from what I can tell, is not in the Table of Nations.
No, the Horites are not. That's right.
Right. So that would tell me, based on the Strong's description, that they are a shaggy goat or satyr. I've even seen some other descriptions where a Lotan and which was Seir the Horite, that was his daughter, who Esau's grandson married, or Esau's, I think it was Esau's son or Esau's grandson, the one who produced Amalek. So I think it was Eliphaz. He married her, and they produced Amalek. And Amalek is supposed to be the continuation where the blood of the Edomites and the blood of the Canaanites intersect.
That's right. The Edom, so Esau's line was spoiled, correct? And you're correct. Right. So after the flood, when you read the book of Jubilees, Noah did go to the Most High and pleaded with him to get rid of these spirits. So these spirits definitely did come from the fallen angels, and they were there after the flood because Noah did plead and said to get rid of them. And then they came and they pleaded too, and they said, hey, you need us. So he only got rid of half. He didn't get rid of all of them. So you're correct. Now, we do see that the Horites, I speak about this. I have a Sons of the Anak video. I talk about the Anakim, which I also talk about the Raphaim. So when you look at the Raphaim are the giants, or what we would consider the Nephilim. And then they got the Horite, the Emims, the Horim, and then you got the Anak. Now the Horim are the Horites, and we know that we see that Esau, when he married with Seir the Horite, he's called a Horite, and then he's also considered to be a Hivite. So the Horites and the Hivites intermix with each other, which are Canaanites, and then we see that Esau mixed with the Canaanite Hivite, which are also Horite. So that's why his seed was indeed spoiled, and that's where we get this group of people with this color. You know, with this class, you want to call them a Neanderthal, you want to call them a Denisovan, this admixture with their DNA. They have this admixture. So yes, you're completely on point, and I agree with you 100%.
Thank you very much for your time. Now, one quick question before I go, if I may. I wanted to know what your perception of, first of all, I'm against the camps as well, like you are. I think they're ridiculous. I think it's not just apostasy. I think a lot of it is just willful ignorance and trying to fit your life and your perception into the narrative when things just don't fit. Well, anyway, I wanted to know what your perception of if all of the nations that rule the world, and I would consider that to be America, England, and Israel, modern day Israel, would you consider that what the scriptures call Idumea, which basically tells you that everywhere Esau rules at the end times would be considered Idumea? And we can include Edom to at least the House of Windsor with the king, because of the dukes. He was the Duke of Windsor. And to my knowledge, at least before World War I, all of the nations in Europe had a monarchy, and all of those monarchies carried dukes. So after World War II, the landscape changed, and the King of England, or the Queen of England at the time, was the only monarchy standing. And from what I understand, the 10 horns, if you know anything about the prophecy concerning the beast having 7 heads and 10 horns, if the Edom is the 7 heads, which I consider to be the 7 heads of Japhet, and the 10 horns, as he said in Revelation, where he says that these kings have received no kingdom as of yet, but will reign 1 hour with the beast. Well, after World War II, all of the nations we see of the Middle East, which are the same nations described in Psalms 83, they became the kings that received their kingdom. And that's why if you read the book of 2nd Esdras, he calls the Arabian Peninsula the dragons of Arabia. And if you look at Psalms 83, all of those are Muslim nations or Arab nations, Ishmaelite nations more specifically, and they all had some hand in the slave trade to some degree or the other, specifically the sub-Saharan slave trade. So what my point is that do you believe that that is the culmination of the beast with the 7 heads and 10 horns being the nations of Europe, the sons of Japhet being the 7 heads, and it says that their crowns went from the head. Well, I'll get into that some other time. But at any rate, they being the heads and the horns, the 10 horns being the newly emerging Arab nations like Iran and Syria and Iraq. Not so much Iran, because that was the kingdom of the Medes. That's a whole nother prophecy. But Lebanon, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, all of these nations becoming, a monarchy, being ruled by princes, as the scriptures talk about. Do you think that this is the fulfillment of that we are in the situation where we are seeing the nation that the Most High chose, according to Jeremiah 50 and 51, where he says, I'm going to raise up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. And he was going to purpose that raising them up to destroy Babylon. And this would be I guess you would say, the prelude to us leaving and us being delivered. And just say leaving. We will be delivered, like Messiah said, by him sending his angels to gather the elect from the 4 corners, which we know that to be Judah. And then he says, I'll set my hand a second time in Isaiah and gather the remnant, which are in all of those nations that used to be ruled by the Assyrian Empire. And, Cush and all of that. So I just wanted to know what your very informed opinion of that synopsis. And the floor is yours. Thank you. And thank you very much for allowing me on your platform.
Oh, well, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for watching and giving me your breakdown. And you definitely gave me some things to think about. However, I will share with you is that when I did a video on Mystery Babylon, so I talk about the 7 heads. I mean, the 7 nations represents. I know we're all used to Japheth, but we all got to start thinking about the Canaanites, because there are 7 nations of Canaanites, 7. And they're greater and they're mightier, and they have a vengeance with us. The land of milk and honey was the land of the Canaanites. It was a land that we took back from them, and the Most High gave to us. Now, was this land was bountiful. We took all their goods, we took all their jewels, we took all their everything that they had came to us, and that's what's going to happen again. Everything that they build up will go to us. We will receive it. Now, also to talk about that, Europe is named after a Canaanite woman. It's named after Europa. So the Canaanites, in fact, yes, I mentioned that. So yes, Canaanites are all in Europe. It's there. They call themselves Europeans. They never changed their names. It's what I find very interesting. And the one thing that a lot of people like to talk about is Edom, and Edom. but they say the inhabitants of Tyre, right? That's supposed to have conspired with us. Well, the inhabitants of Tyre are Canaanites. So the Canaanites are always there. It's just Tyre. And so the Canaanites aren't the people that we have to look out for. Japheth is there, but they're not mentioned. But the people who is always mentioned is the Canaanites. If you read the book of Jubilees, they saw the land and they came and they took our land. They stole our land. That's what really made them cursed. First thing they did was they stole garments. If you read the book of Jasher,
Right.
Ham stole the garments that was supposed to went to Shem.
Well, can I suggest to you that the Canaanite presence in Japhet is through Esau? If my original question, if the nations of Europe are considered Idumea, it would be because of the Canaanite presence in Edom that brings it to Europe. Would you agree?
Yeah. See, the thing is that Canaanite means zealous, or it means jealousy. Esau was jealous of his brother, so he made an allegiance with the Canaanites, and that's when his seed was spoiled, and that's when they became a team. It was a coalition, the Edomites Canaanite coalition. Now they all conspired against the children of Israel. Let's cut them off from being a nation. So all the Hamites all conspired with each other to cut us off from being a nation. And how did they do that? Was by us not remembering who we are. Now, the thing is, in knowing who they are, I don't know if you've seen my whole presentation, but when I talk about the Sinites, their name has always been Ham, and their name has always been Sin. The only difference is that they say it in Zion or Shine. They've never changed. They've always been the same people. The problem also is our own people. They don't want to accept the fact that these people are the Canaanites. It just, for some reason, it just does not sit right with them. No matter how, like I said, I brought out in the beginning, I showcased IUIC's evidence of how Asians linked to Moab. It was the most remedial evidence. And then I looked at how they linked the South Africans to Canaanites.
I saw it. It was excellent.
No evidence at all. No evidence at all. And no evidence is required. That's the thing. But when you start linking them to Canaanites, that's when people's minds starts to go, well, hold on. What about this? Well, what about that? They got questions, which is you're supposed to. But where's those questions at when they linking the South Africans to the Canaanite? Where's that passion at? I want to know, why don't people have any passion to stand up for the South African people?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You're labeling
before I go, can I ask you a question though? Do you believe, because all of the study that I've been into this truth since 2000, I kind of changed my whole perception on life after September 11th, and been in the scripture since I was a child. My mother was an educator, long story short. So anyway, my question to you is do you believe that the scriptures talk about Moab and Ammon? And for me, looking at just the name Ammon Jordan, do you believe, like I believe, just based on the descriptions, the dragons of Arabia, that Moab is Saudi Arabia and Ammon, as in Ammon Jordan, is the Jordanians? And the reason why we can unequivocally say that it's not the Chinese, because the prophecies concerning Moab and Ammon is that they will shave off all of their beards because of the the affliction they'll be facing during the wrath of the Most High in these last days, which we could see right now that the Iranians are about to give them that. You know what I mean? And it's almost like the Iranians are being used, like he did Cyrus, as a instrument to the people who have sold out their countrymen to ally themselves with the Edomites and the Americans, or Edomites whole outright. And my thing is that if they're Elam and Ammon and Edom, he says that they're going to burn that whole place down. He says that all of those palaces are going up. That's another reason why it can't be the Chinese. When the scriptures prophesy about the end of Moab, they're talking about palaces, and that, you know, they regard silver and gold. And these people are, they're bathing in gold over there. And at the end of the day, he says in the prophecy in I think it's Isaiah 13, he says that he would raise up the spirit of the kings of the Medes who don't regard silver or gold. And he said they don't delight in it. And he said they're cruel. And he says that Moab and Ammon will be dying of thirst, and they'll be looking for water. I believe that's either Amos, or I could be confusing where it is, but don't quote me on where it is. But I know it's in the prophecies of either Ezekiel, Ammon, Amos, or Jeremiah. And he basically says that, all of their water going to be cut off, and they're going to have to leave their habitation to go seek water and food and subsistence. And you can see that by the threat of their desalination plants being attacked by the Iranians. They're saying the next time that America attacks them, they're going to destroy the desalination plants, which, Jordan and Saudi Arabia, 90% of their fresh water comes from these desalination plants, as well as Israel. So this is definitely, in my opinion, the beginning of the judgment of the Most High and the return of his people to that land. And with that, I'll say good night.
You brought out some really great facts. I'm still there. I was muted. I didn't know I was muted.
Okay.
Yeah. You brought out some really great facts. I believe that Moab, definitely, they made an allegiance with the Canaanites, and they mixed with the Canaanites as well. I believe they're also Arabs. I believe they're still there. And I believe they're still in their land, just like the Esau. They all are pretty much the same. They all made an allegiance with the Canaanites, and they all, pretty much they are in the land. But a lot of Shem is also in Africa. But yes, I do agree with you with that. And I will be doing a presentation I want to share with you guys, my next up and coming video that I will be talking about. Let me share that with you. Here it is. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you. Yep. You were on point. You were on point with your research. Good job. Oh, did I knock you off? Did you fall? Hello? Are you still there? Are you still there, or did you come off? Or I don't know what happened. I don't know if you fell, dropped off, or.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. I'm sorry. I had it muted as well.
It's not hard.
I appreciate that compliment. I believe you're very well versed as well. And for me, it's refreshing because I can't find anybody on YouTube, at least. I don't really venture too much further out than YouTube. And I find no one but you that has done nowhere near the research you've done. A lot of these things are obvious if you just study what you claim to stand for. And most of them just don't study. You know what I mean? And people don't think about this. The scriptures tell us, and this is something I believe applies to our people as well. Where the book of Daniel talks about the last days, he tells Daniel to seal up the prophecies of this book until the last days. And he says, like the knowledge will increase. He said, now the wicked won't understand. He said, but the wise will understand. So I've always saw that as when it comes to these scriptures, There is no back door, and it can't be intellectual in it of itself. It has to be mixed with a degree of faith. And according to Messiah, just a mustard seed. And it doesn't seem like anybody is even giving that and offering that much. And I don't really understand it. And a lot of our brothers are fixated on this notion that we are the Native Americans. And maybe it's because of this identity crisis we seem to be going through, because we haven't had any success, not embracing the concept of captivity. When you in captivity, you're not in it. This is not a party. We are not a part of this land. The scriptures say we would be strangers in this land.
That's
and
right.
400 years later, we are still strangers. That scripture is still alive. And
Alive
we're
and
not
well.
supposed to be welcome. And he tells us that you don't partake in it. So all of us trying to be a part of this whole, genealogy of America and this whole ideology of it to me is misguided, because this place was slated to be destroyed before it was even a nation. I believe that when John talks about Mystery Babylon, he's talking about the fact that during the time of the writing of that prophecy, there was nobody here in America. There was nobody here. It was a wilderness. Like he said, he saw a woman sitting in the wilderness. So there was nobody here. And we know from history that the Aztec and the Incas, they got there at least, 1,000 years after AD 70. So it doesn't make sense, and at least in North America. South America, they could have gotten there a little earlier, and they could have been the Canaanites that were divided when the book of Genesis talks about the earth was divided, or the earth was divided in the days of Peleg. They are
the Peruvians.
Yes.
Yes, those are and definitely the Phoenician Canaanites.
And we know this though because of Kukulkan and Quetzalcoatl.
Yes,
these were the dragon. And not only that, I would challenge these, camp cats to research Amorica or Amaruca.
I've been trying to. I get kicked off. I don't even try no more. I say, you know what? Let me stop trying to come on and talk to them. Let me just come on my own channel and talk about them.
Yes.
So that's what I'm doing.
More effective.
I really thought that's why I have to say that they reject knowledge, because they don't want this information coming out, and shame on them. And the thing is that if you reject knowledge, then the Most High will reject you. That's all. What is it to consume? What is it to get to gain the whole world, to lose your soul? What is it to get all these subscribers and you get all of this to lose your soul? Because you don't want to accept the fact that these people that you have in your camp are not the people. But it's okay. They can be in the camp. They can reside with us, but they just are not the 12 tribes. You're taking it away from another people. You're stopping them. You're talking about you're here to wake up the lost sheep. But my thing is you're giving heritage of a group to a group that doesn't belong to. It doesn't belong to them. So how can they wake up? You're actually working against the Most High. You're not working for them. And that's just all I have to say.
But to attribute this place as Israel, to me, is not just borderline blasphemy, but it gives new meaning to mixing the holy with the profane. Like, first of all, Indians aren't circumcised. They would kill you if you suggested harming their children by touching their genitalia. So that right there is first off. So that means that you're disqualified from the covenant that the Most High made with his seed, Abraham's seed, where he says that this circumcision would be it would be a sign between us. It's almost like a bond between the two. It was a mark that he put on us through our circumcision.
They'll just tell you that means they are the Israelites. anything these people do wrong, that just makes them more right. It's just
That's
really
exactly. But they would be interested to know, which I just found out recently, that the most, as far as per capita and the most widely practiced circumcisions in the world, which region has the most? Do you know where the most is on the planet? West Africa. They have a 98 and 99% circumcision rate in these countries, like the Sahel and like Nigeria and Ghana and all of these nations that our DNA say we came from. All of these nations are circumcised nations. And people forget that Israel, the 10 lost tribes, they weren't supposed to lose their heritage. They were just kicked out. Most High said Israel is no more. He just hid from them. Judah, he said you would discontinue your heritage. So this is the reason why we don't know. We're the ones scattered around the world, don't know who we are. The children in Africa, the ones who do keep the position, they're on point with it. But the majority of the people, because of oppression and colonization, we serve the idolatrous religions of the world. And that's another thing these camps do. They have no idea that wearing that Star of David, the Star of Remphan, that these guys are in serious trouble.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I fear for their life because the Most High is about to judge this place.
The Israelites, the Canaanites are here to prove to the Most High that you can follow His laws, statutes, and commandments. And the thing is that these people, they don't want to let go. They don't want to let go to people. They don't want to let go. That's why it's hard. So you have to understand the other people are not hard. It's too easy. That's how you know they're not the people, because it's too easy. They don't want to let go of that star. It's too hard. They don't want to let go of those people. It's too hard. They don't want to let go of those women. It's too hard. And that's how you know that they're not of the Most High, because it's too hard. That's true. Because the people who you think are the Canaanites, it's just like the people who they say are. It's not hard. They don't care. They don't care. It's like, oh, who cares about them? Right. It's not hard. But these other folks, it hurts. It touches them. I see some individuals in my chat right now who are upset. And let me play something. I gotta play something really quick.
Do you think?
1 second. Let me play this really quick.
If y'all didn't get a chance, I want Officer Jonah. Is it Soldier Jonah or Officer Jonah? Officer Jonah. If y'all get a chance, I want y'all to get this book. Now, you got a lot of the wide-nosed, big-lipped Negroes who are upset about the Mexicans. So in this book entitled Origins of the American Indians, I want all you Negroes online to get angry with this book now. Joe, and I want you to open up to page 88, and we're just going to read what it says. I'm not even going to go to scripture to verify a point, which we've done many times. I want you to zoom in, cameraman, on the highlighted part. I'm going to read it. It reads, the Mexicans are originally of the 10 tribes captured by Salmanazar and of the family of Issachar, whom the Indians recognize as their special ancestor. Now,
that right there is a major fail. Major fail.
All right, I just had you see that he said the wide nose and the big lips are upset about the Africans, the Native upset about the Native Americans, the wide nose. You see how you got to put the wide nose and the big lips and put us down because we got wide noses and big lips. And you know what, Bishop Nathaniel, I had to use Ron against you because Ron is an epic fail too. But my thing is that, but this is for Bishop Nathaniel.
That right there is a major fail. Major fail.
That is so good. I like that. I love it.
Have a little fun, you gotta have some fun,
I love it. I love it. I heard he went to Africa and they almost took his life with his message.
Which one?
Brother Nathaniel.
Because I know Ron is in Africa too, so that's why I was confused.
Yeah, well, Ron's in Africa.
And
I heard, and I believe that it was a choice to where he could stay and fight for his message, or they would release his funds that they were keeping and holding from Amazon from the sales of the book, and he chose to take the money and run. So, and you know what? Based on, because I know that he had a lot of money coming. He was worth millions after, Hebrews to Negroes book came out, and Amazon, especially after the Kyrie Irving controversy, it started, selling more copies. So he made a lot of money. And, that's why I kind of see why his narrative is the way it is, to where he's stuck on the Holy Land being in places like, Central Africa and all of those places, in South Africa or wherever it is that he believes it is, where I just don't agree with it. I believe, his history is correct, but I don't believe that he's on point with any of the other parts of our narrative, because for one, the scriptures tell us that, for me, I believe Africa is Eden. That's why he says that he planted a garden eastward in Eden. And we know East Africa is Ethiopia, and the place that, he talks about it, the rivers flowing around the garden and all that. And so I know that for a fact. And I know that the land that the scriptures say that Abraham was given was the land of the Canaanites. And according
we gotta slow down, because when you talk about that, you got to go into Jubilees, because Jubilees is where Shem's lot was located. And you got to remember, Shem's lot was in the center of the earth, and he got Eden, and that's Africa. Now, mind you, Africa is named after a Shemite, Abraham's grandson, Aphir. That's based off of, yes, Josephus says that. And also, remember, that land, that little sliver of land that says Israel is not, or Canaan, is not all of the land that was supposed to go to.
I agree. You know what I think also? I think where we get confused is where the scriptures talk about where we have it's almost like we're measuring it from a longitudinal direction instead of like the latitude part, or I might have it inverted, meaning that when he said that Jubilees talks about Shem getting the best portion, where it was a blend of hot and cold. And when you look at the equator and how it runs from South America all the way around the globe.
Hit the link then. Excuse me. Hit the link. Let me drop it for you. Hit the link. I'm sorry. Somebody's in my chat talking, so they need to hit the link. But yes, you're right. The land of hot and cold. Mm-hmm.
Right. So what I'm saying is that Shem's land, I believe, extended from where he says the borders. His land extended all the way, where we know of is the mid part of Africa under Libya and all of that, right where I believe where we see the Niger River run alongside, which runs east to west.
And
where we say the Saharan, and the reason why I say that real quick is the scriptures tell us in the prophecies where he says in the book of the book of Revelation, where he says the woman gave birth to a man child. And it says the child was caught up unto heaven and to his throne. And then it says that the devil was mad at the woman and made war with the remnant of her seed. And it said, and the woman fled into a wilderness to her place. So then I started looking at, after the captivities of the Syrian captivity, then us with the Roman captivity and the fall of the Roman Empire, and how all of us somehow ended up into South Africa. And when we look, not South Africa, I'm sorry, West Africa, where you have maps saying that the kingdom of Judah was there. and that Negro land previously for centuries was considered Yehuda, or the land of, I think they call it Ouida or something to that effect. It meant Judah. Well, if that was her place according to that prophecy, then that shows you that West Africa was a wilderness too. But it's saying that that was part of Shem's land if it was her place, if it says to her place. I don't know if you've ever read that. That's Revelation 12, and it extends into 13 in the prophecies, but it's Revelation 12, and it's about the woman where he talks about the first sight where he talks about the beast that he saw, coming down to earth or whatever. Well, anyway, that tells me that Shem's land wasn't so much north to south, where it goes from the borders of Lebanon down to, say, where the land of Edom and the Arabia Peninsula was, or whatever those borders were, or the Euphrates, that it was more on the side of from the Euphrates all the way over to West Africa. Because even though he gave Abraham those borders, we never really fulfilled that. We probably got as close as we got to occupying that land was probably during the days of David, from what I can see.
Well, I believe that Arsareth is further into Africa, the land that mankind never dwelt. But Shem's lot is Africa. We know that from Africa all the way into the borders of India. The Book of Jubilees tells you that. It tells you that it's in the center of the earth. Now, Israel got what is called the Middle East. That is their land specifically. And what Netanyahu calls Greater Israel. That's what he's trying to fight for now. That's what he's fighting for. He's trying to fight for more of Israel. They haven't received all of it. They want more because they want Greater Israel. And that is Israel's lot. That's not Shem. Shem didn't just get that small portion. Shem got from Africa all the way up into India. Now, what ended up happening is that the Book of Jubilees tells us that the Canaanites saw our land and they came in and they took it. And that was actually in the Bible. So we see that, and that's why we had a war with the Canaanites, and the Most High drove them out, right? He drove the Canaanites out, and we received the land. But guess what happened? The children of Israel got driven out of the land too, and guess who came back in? The Canaanites came back in, and they took habitation of the land again. So yeah, it's just a process. I break all this down about Shem's lot utilizing scripture. I break down Ham's lot, and I break down a lot of that. So check out those videos where I actually
I will. I certainly will.
Oh,
and you have your Strongs open, right? Or you have your biblical. I want you to I want you to look at this passage. I don't know if you've ever read this before, but I always wondered what you would think of this if you ever saw it.
What's that?
It's the passage of Exodus 15, verse 13. Start at 13. Exodus 15 and start at verse 13.
Exodus 15:13, and you say, "Thou in thy mercy hast led forth thy people, which thou hast redeemed. Thou hast guided them in thy strength unto the holy habitation."
Yes, and read the next passage.
Okay. All right. So it says, "The people shall hear and be afraid. Sorrow shall take hold of the inhabitants of Palestina." And then it says, "The dukes of Edom shall be amazed. The mighty men of Moab, trembling, shall take hold upon them. All the inhabitants of Canaan shall melt away."
That's a prophecy. Now read 16.
Wow.
This shows us coming back to the land.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that lets you know that the inhabitants of Canaan are still there. Sounds like
Yes.
so that right. I like that. Thank you. I like that. Exodus chapter 15. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. They should be no more. I'll take it.
And you got your Canaanites right there proving what you're saying.
Thank you. Yes, a lot. Like I said, it gets to the point. I don't mind. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to try to gotta wake people up. And that's why it's hard, people to accept it because it's a test. It wouldn't be a test if it wasn't hard. Okay. That's why the
Right.
Most High used these people to prove, and our people are failing. And I see some people in my chat that won't hit the link. So why don't you hit the link and stop trying to be a keyboard warrior and have a conversation? But I'm gonna go on and it's getting late, and I know we've been live
Okay.
almost 4 hours. So
It was a pleasure, Queen Naftali.
it was
I
a pleasure, and
appreciate
you
it.
just gave me I'm getting ready to use that, so don't be surprised when you see me.
Hey, I would love to. My pleasure. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. I learned a lot today. Your presentation was excellent.
Thank
I'm
you
going to
so
save
much.
it and share it.
Please, thank you so much.
I certainly will. I certainly will. I got some believers on my Facebook page that connect to YouTube, so it'll be a pleasure for me to share this one. This one I'll be proud to. Thank you very much again.
Thank you so much. That's an honor. Thank you so much, Sharon. If you're not following me, I'm Naftali Israel on Facebook.
Oh, I've been sharing you. I've been following you for a while. You ain't got to worry about that. I've been following you for at least a year now.
Well, thank you. I'm back. I've been out for a while, but I'm back, and I'm trying to, get this information out and try to put these presentations together. So you'll see me more and more going more live and bringing more out.
I look
Thank
forward
you,
to it.
Hazel, so much for your support, sis. Thank you. Thank you, Trevor. Hallelujah. Yes. Thank you, guys. Hey, I'll be back again. Going to be talking about Esau. Okay. And we'll see who we're going to be talking about Esau. He said, what, Will? He said, white people in Indo-European are African and what to Asia? Okay. You said this was such a wonderful discussion that this brother just added on point. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Guys. All right. So this was fun. I love my people, but my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, and that's why people like myself, I don't know nobody else that's out here bringing the information like me. So share this information because a lot of people don't want this information to get out. And you know what? Share these on your pages, share the channel, help me grow. We're trying to get this information to our people. And as always, guys, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you all so much for your donations and your super chats. Great convo. Thank you. Thank you. It was a great convo. And I am not I'm humble enough to say that I need to talk to people. I need to hear information. You know what I'm saying? So I need information too. So he taught me some stuff too. I'm not going to sit up here and act like I know it all. That's not true. But all right. It's been a good one, guys. Most High bless. I'll see you guys again next week.